Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in living color here with you tonight, only on Grande's Graveyard. And yes, my friends, tonight we get nasty. Yes, I've done over 10 video nasty specials at this point, and I felt that it was finally the time to take that number and count all the way down to another number one. Yes, my friends, tonight on Grande's Graveyard, it is my top 10 video nasties movies of all time. Yes, we take the list of the fabled 72, 39 prosecuted, 33 non-prosecuted, 39 prosecuted. I'll get it right here, folks. And we count them down. We narrow them down to 10. So I'm very excited here tonight on Grande's Graveyard to get into all things video nasty. It's going to be a lot of fun. We had a lot of people here before we even went live. Black Glove Reviews 1979 is in the house. Evening all only. Rest in peace, Mr. Cullen, until all are one. Yeah, no, this was a bad week to be a celebrity. I mean, not only Mr. Cullen of the Optimus Prime voice acting gig, but also Dolly Parton had passed away. We lost Ozzy Osbourne, Hayden Panettiere. I mean, so many names. Ozzy Osbourne was last year, not Ozzy. I meant Tim Curry. Tim Curry passed away this week. Or Ozzy was last year, but it goes to prove my point, I guess, a little bit more. There's been a lot of bad celebrity deaths. There's so many of them lately. So, I don't know, real morbid, but rest in peace to all of those who we've lost. Yeah, the Gravekeeper has been busy this week. Unfortunately, yes, that's true. Welcome, Pat. We got Miss C in the chat. Hello, Miss C. Ciao, Grande, Graveyardian friends. It's time to get nasty in the graveyard. Yes, let's get nasty tonight. Ciao, Grande. Let's get nasty. Did you went big names or more personal top 10? Hi to the whole graveyard. R.I.P. Tim Curry. So sad, man. Yeah, no, Tim Curry was a once in a lifetime talent, and it's a real shame that he's no longer with us. I know he wasn't in good health for quite some time, Tim Curry, so it's really sad to see and hear of his passing, but at the same time I hope he's obviously he's out of pain now, and hopefully he can truly rest in peace, because he was a guy that I know for the longest time was just in the poorest of poor health. So it's a shame, but Tim Curry was the man, and may he rest in peace. Hello, Ghostface Brett's in the house. Power and Glory Hole. Hello, fellow graveyard dwellers. What's up, Pero Grande? What's up, Pero? Freaking, I think this is Mark. I think it's the Love Machine. I don't know. You always switch your gimmick here. So I think this is Mark. Dynamic 027. Smash the like, brother. Is that UFC Labyrinth? Is that under a different alias? Is that who that is? Dynamic 027. Tim Curry did a lot of voiceovers. Yes, he did. What's up, Graveyard? What's up, Ryan Hanley? Hope all's well with you, buddy. Tim had a second stroke from what I heard of Let's Get Nasty. Yeah, no, R.I.P. Tim Curry. It's a shame, I've had obviously his passing, it would have been cool to even do like a Tim Curry spotlight. So that would have been cool one of these days. Maybe down the road we'll do Tim Curry spotlight. I have a Bill Paxton one planned, but we'll have to wait and see what day we're going to do that. Holy cow, it is UFC Labyrinth. Well, hello, Dynamic IC027. That's the new name here. Hope all is well with you, buddy. Good to see your name. It's been too long. Tis the Love Machine. Okay, I'm guessing right here. I mentioned Ozzy, but I'm guessing right, at least with my own chat people. Okay, Missy's top 10 of all time for the video nasties. We can read them off. Killer Nun. She was having none of it. Fight for Your Life. Really good one. Late Night Trains. Eaten Alive. The Burning. Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker, The Fun House, Evil Speak, Bay of Blood, I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left. Yes, that's quite a list, Miss C. I think that's a pretty decent list right there. And yeah, some of them we do have in common. We do have a couple in common there, and it should be a lot of fun. And it's crazy. Yeah, like I said, I've done over 10 video nasty specials. I've reviewed probably well over 20, probably close to 30 of them. And it's crazy because obviously there's 72 overall, and one day I maybe want to own them all. I want to review them all on here for sure. But I said, you know what? Why don't I sit down? Why don't I take the time? Why don't I concoct the list of the top 10 nasties, in my opinion, ever? And to answer Mateo's question, I did go personal, just my personal favorite top 10, but there are a lot of the popular ones on here. If that's more your question, you're probably going to be able to predict a couple of them, but maybe I'll throw some curveballs along the way. We'll have to see. Bill Paxton was the best, one of my favorite actors. I love Bill Paxton, and I'd really like to do that special episode. The Fun House, a.k.a. House on Dead End Street. Well, funny enough, the House on Dead End Street wasn't a nasty. It was mistaked with Toby Hooper's The Fun House. And that's the movie that garnered getting on the list. The Funhouse Toby Hooper's version was on the list. And I also think it may have been because it was from the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They probably said, oh my God, throw that on the list. Even though what's so funny is Eaten Alive is a nasty, the Funhouse is a nasty, but the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not an original video nasty. It's on the Section 3 list, but it was not on Sections 1 or 2, which I do consider to be the true video nasties. And that's what we're counting down from here. So if anyone's expecting anything from the Section 3 part of the list, it's not on here because it doesn't qualify. The House by the Cemetery is my favorite. I love that movie. I'll tell you right now, that was one of the Bubble Boys. Zombie Flesh Eaters was another one. Oh, man, can't go wrong with either one of those. Cannibal Holocaust, my number one nasty. I actually saw it in the cinema this Monday night, and Carl Gabriel York was there, who's actually the lead actor of the movie. He plays one of the lead documentary filmmakers. Alan is the character's name, and it was so cool to see that on the big screen, and then he did a Q&A after. That was really cool. But before we get nasty, before we get into the list, I figured if we're getting nasty here tonight, and it's a night of different things, I'm trying out a new microphone, so I hope this sounds good. I don't know. I hope it doesn't sound bad. Last week, I had to use the shitty webcam one, and it didn't really sound the greatest. So I hope I sound better this week. So if you want to let me know how it sounds, let me know, because this was on a whim of my good buddy Nick Reap recommended me get this microphone, and I used it last night, and it sounded okay then. So I was like, let's try it out for the show. But in a series of new things and concoctions and things like that, we concocted list. We got a new microphone. I figured we concoct a nasty beverage. And no, I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I'm weird like that. But I decided, why not make a fun drink for a top 10 video nasty special? And I did. What I've concocted here is a pineapple Shirley Temple. And yes, it is in a Smog Monster glass. Long live the Smog Monster. We've got the maraschino cherry here. Cheers, everybody in the graveyard land. Let me know what you're drinking here tonight. We're going to just try this concoction. I don't know. It might be terrible, but we're going to try it. It's pineapple juice, 7-Up, and a cherry syrup of some kind. So we're getting Shirley in this Temple, motherfucker. We got maraschino cherry and sure. Oh, man, that is good. That is really good. I didn't put an overabundance of the pineapple juice in there, but you get a good enough of the taste. And then the Shirley Temple-ness, I guess, the 7-Up, really, really good. So obviously non-alcoholic. I'm boring, but it's pretty good. Delicioso, my friends. You sound all good. Grande. Salute. Oh my goodness. What? You've never had a mocktail before? I'm just basing my list on the nasties I've seen and use IMDb as a reference guide as to what to watch. Well, that's very cool. I'm happy that you created your own list. And if you want to share your lists with me tonight, feel free to do so. Obviously, just keep it to the original 72. And we're going to get this show on the road here, only on the Graveyard. So here we go with number 10. And I have all of these on physical media, so I don't have to share the screen at all here tonight. This is a movie that came out in the year 1979. And it's funny because there is a movie that's not a video nasty that gets more love than this one does. And personally, I think this movie is a little bit better, and it follows a similar type of formula, but it's from the year 1979. It stars actor Dan Grimaldi. You might remember him in The Sopranos. He was Patsy on The Sopranos. You might remember him from that, but you also may remember him from this movie as he plays the lead. I'm telling you, don't go in the house. Yes, don't go in the house from 1979. Brief plot synopsis. Traumatized loner Donald Kohler struggles after his mother's death as childhood abuse, obsessive thoughts, and a growing fixation with fire push him towards an increasingly dangerous encounter with unsuspecting women. Yes, don't go in the house. This one had to make it. I initially made this list. House by the Cemetery came in at number 10, and I love that movie as well. But man, the more I thought about it, the more I sat on it. I had to have this one crack the top 10, even if it's only number 10, to make this list, because this is one of those movies that truly scared me to my core. And you'll see this also, this alternate cover, this was the one sheet poster art, and I love that. I think that's just an awesome cover art there, as this movie tells the story of Dan Grimaldi's character, Donald, of course, and he is this guy who by day works in this factory, and then he lives in his old childhood home, obviously, when he gets off of work, and he has constant flashbacks to when he was a child and his abusive mother, who used to hold his arms over the stove when he was a kid, burning his arms profusely. And this is a great movie in and of the fact that I'll never forget the first time I watched it. I watched it late night. This was when I was just starting college, probably like 2016 era ish. It was a cold night. I put this movie on like 1, 2 in the morning. I was kind of fading in and out, falling asleep, watching with one eye open. And then what happens in this movie that really just disturbs me is he brings home this woman from a date. He brings her into this kind of room and he basically sets her ablaze. He ties and chains her hands up and then gets this flamethrower out and burns the woman alive, like you'll see here on this slip cover. That's one of the striking images of horror in the movie as he burns this woman alive. And you see that one by one, he's kind of convincing these women to come home with him. He's kind of tricking them into this room and he's burning them and killing them slowly but surely over this movie's runtime. And it's a movie that, to me, despite being about a man setting women on fire and the heat that would portray in that, it's a movie that at the same time I think is just so cold. It's such a cold, unsettling, unhearted horror film, and it gets underneath my skin in every single way possible. It's a truly scary film, and I think the director did a great job here with the scare sequences. There's a lot of moments where our lead will have these horrible nightmares of his mother and what she did to him as a kid. And then as the thing goes on, after he kills each victim, he'll have these kind of daydreams about the women that he's killed, right? These guilty daydreams where he'll be looking in the mirror and he'll see one of the victims behind him kind of doing one of these, and he'll turn around and she's not there. But it goes to show you that is on his subconscious, right? He's subconsciously guilty about the women, the innocent women that he has been picking off and burning alive, right? And then we flash back and forth to his childhood and things like that. And the movie kind of progresses onward from there as slowly but surely he's being eaten alive by his own subconscious. And this is a really deep psychological horror movie. It's about a guy who just basically starts losing his mind. And, it gets compared a lot with slasher movies, right? What's better, this or Maniac? What's better, this or insert generic slasher movie number one? There is no slashing in this movie. There are obviously victims. There are being burned alive. There are gruesome visuals and things like that, but it's not really a slasher movie. It's more so a story about the post-traumatic stress of childhood abuse, right? This guy who grew up and knew nothing from women more than his own mother, and how she treated him, how he would how she'd burn his arms over the stove, how she'd smack him, how she talked down to him. And then once he grows up, once she's passed away, he's thinking, oh, I'm free. I can move on from this. I'm not, grief stricken whatsoever. I can move on from the pain of my childhood. And instead, her ghost, the abuse of her past, kind of haunts him into his adult life. And Grimaldi's performance in this is the only thing that I always kind of felt was iffy in the particular movie. Like, would I have preferred Joe Spinell in this part? Absolutely. But I do think this is the better movie when compared to Maniac. So it's kind of a give and take there. But I do think Grimaldi's character, he's trying to play it more so as an adult in an arrested development, right? Here's a guy that never mentally became a man. He never mentally grew up and became an adult, if you will. He's still in his subconscious the little kid that we keep seeing in the flashbacks, right? He can't move on from it. There's some terrifying shit in this. Like, I think there's a great scene in the nightclub where he meets this woman and she's kind of trying to hit on him, and he's like, no. And she's like, come on, dance with me. And she pulls his arms almost like his mother used to hold his arms over the fire flames of the stove. And he gets a crazy flashback and just hits her with something. It sets her hair on fire and half of her face gets burned, almost like Harvey Dent. And she burns like half of her face. And then her brother comes over. She's going to be fucked up for life. Her face is fucked up for life. That always scared the shit out of me. Like, yeah, like that's actually worse than dying. You're going to be fucking Two-Face the rest of your life. I thought that was scary. And then, the ultimate finale where in his dreams, he gets attacked by these women on a beach. And even the beach feels cold. It's just, oh my God, this is a scary ass movie. I think this is one that grossly needs more love. It really does. This one needs a little bit more love than it has. And that's why I wanted to feature it on this top 10 Nasties list. One that I think is really worth watching. One that, and another funny anecdote before I move on to comments. This was a movie that played concurrently with Friday the 13th. And Friday the 13th came out in 1980, had its run. This movie also had its theatrical run around the same time. And the director said, hey, I'm going to do some on scout, looking here. I'm going to do some on-scout location watching. I'm going to go into one theater and the other for Don't Go in the House and Friday the 13th, respectively. He went into Friday the 13th, and everybody was throwing popcorn and babies in the air and holding on to each other and having a good, entertaining night at the cinema, right? That's what sometimes horror movies need to be popcorny. You need to sell tickets. You need to put asses in the seats. And that's what Friday the 13th did. And then he went into his own movie, his own picture, and saw that no one was making a sound. No one was making a noise. There weren't couples in there. There was just dead, utter, cold silence. And he realized that he made a grave mistake. He made a horror movie that was so horrific that it didn't draw. It didn't, and that's the thing. You learn, right? You learn, you live and you learn, right? I made an effective horror movie. Maybe it was a bit too effective. Maybe it's not going to be as successful as a Friday the 13th was. So I always loved hearing that story. I always thought that must have been such an eye opener. Like, damn it, I made a good movie, but not the right movie, not the right place, not the right time. And that's what it is sometimes, man. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one if you guys have seen it. A Clockwork Orange, I think of as the first Video Nasty, considering Kubrick pulled it from theaters. Well, yeah, I mean, again, not an official one, but certainly a movie that inspired it for sure. That movie was taboo. I mean, Kubrick was scared for his family when that movie got released. He was like, all right, pull it, and that movie definitely fits into the whole vibe. And I'll tell you this, if it was on the official list, it'd be number one. That's one of the great movies ever made. Orange Gatorade is my poison tonight. The LOVE machine is under the weather, been tongue loving too many buttholes. Well, that all happens. I'm making a quote from the Shirley Temple movies. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Slasher Fred. I thought I was not sure what you were referring to. Love that one. I do too. Man, it's unsettling. It's such an unnerving movie. And I know if you do have this release from Severin, there are two different cuts. I've watched both. I think one is called the integral cut, I think it's called, and then the other is the theatrical. The integral cut adds 10 to 12 minutes of monologue footage. You get a little bit more of Dan Grimaldi, whereas in the theatrical version, you don't get as much with him. He's very much more silent and less spoken. And I actually think the movie works a little bit better with the theatrical cut. So I would recommend that one if you have it on physical media. AKA The Burning, LOL, Don't Go in the House. Yes, well, The Burning, and it's funny enough, though, The Burning, right? Tony May Lamb's film, that is a Video Nasty, but will it make the list? Hola, Grande, where are you going with that gun in your hand? Welcome, Texas. Hope all is well with you, buddy. People saying, hi, yo, Tex. Okay. He has mommy issues. That's a good way to put it. That's definitely a good way for putting it. Hey, Chris, thank you for hanging out last night. The Shirley Temple became the impression for many child stars like Drew Barrymore and Dakota Fanning. What do you think of Grimaldi's performance? I like it. Honestly, it's grown on me over time. The first time I saw it, I was so disappointed by the performance. I was like, man, I wanted more monologue. I wanted him to be Joe Spinell. I wanted the whole, this is what my mother means to me. I wanted more monologues. And you can get that if you watch the extended cut. You get a little bit more of that. But I think Grimaldi, what I didn't get at first was that he is really playing someone of an arrested development. He's playing a man-child, if you will, that never grew up, that only saw women as one thing, and obviously becomes this monster, becomes this guy, but not a monster without a conscience, which I thought was really good. I have that same edition of Don't Go in the House, Nightmare in a Damaged Brain goes great with that. That's another Video Nasty. Didn't make my list, but don't tell Tom Savini. Cold atmosphere to this movie. Yes, that's to me the beautiful oxymoron of this movie, a movie about a man who burns women alive, and it's one of the coldest Video Nasties there ever was. Such a weird oxymoron, but I love it. When his arm goes over the candle, then shit hits the fan. Exactly, right? It just brings him back to that moment as a child. Michelle is in the house. Hello, Grande and Graveyard. I'm at the work, and I was hoping to watch, but as I was typing, I got a CT to do. No worries, my friend. I'm happy you stopped in to say hi. I hope all is well. I think the scenes where he's alone, talk to the corpses, is even creepier than the scenes in Maniac where Frank is talking to the mannequins. Don't get me wrong. I think both Maniac and Don't Go in the House are great movies. I really do. And Maniac obviously has the bigger reputation. But there's just something better about it. I just liked it. I think this is a more raw film. There's just something about this. With that, it's the effects and things like that. I'll say this too. I don't know if Maniac sticks the landing the way this movie does. I think this movie has a better ending. The ending just always creeped me out on that beach where they all get him. It's a very similar ending too, and it did predate Maniac, to be fair. Iron Sabbath's in the house. Arthur's here. Hey, buddy, just ended day 1 of the con, day 2, and Joey Pants tomorrow. Welcome, Arthur. Dude, I'm so excited for you to meet Joey Pants. That's going to be awesome. Obviously, we were just talking about Dan Grimaldi as the lead in Don't Go in the House. Obviously, Joey Pants played Ralphie on The Sopranos. So a lot of Sopranos love here in the early stages of Grande's Graveyard tonight. Mernsy's in the house. Hey, what's up, Graveyard fam? Ready to get nasty in the graveyard tonight. Welcome, Merns. Hope all's well with you, buddy. I think Grimaldi comes across very well as someone who's deeply traumatized, but is able to barely keep it together enough to survive in public, just like Frank Zito. It's it would be a fun down the road episode, even though I've just showed my hand, to compare the two. What is the better movie? Like Maniac versus Don't Go in the House. They're so similar. I would just love, and I'll be perfectly honest. Other than the initial killing in this movie, where the woman gets burned alive, we don't really see much else of violence in this whole picture, but that one scene alone made this a video nasty. Whereas in Maniac, we see all the gore, all the killings, the shotgun blast to Savini himself, and yet that was not a video nasty. I always thought Maniac was one of the biggest, like, weird exemptions to the list. Like, it should be, but it is not. Tom might need that money, so he might be signing those Nightmare posters. Okay, off topic, what do you think of the Maniac remake? I think the Maniac remake is tremendous. I think that Elijah Wood did a really good job in the role. I love the director, Frank Calhoun. He's a guy that works years and years with Alex Aja, and was one of the guys that was helping on movies like High Tension. If you've seen High Tension, the gas station attendant that's killed in it, he's the guy that directed Maniac, and he directed P2, which is one of my favorite Christmas horror movies. I really like Frank Calhoun. I think he's a good filmmaker, and I think he did a good job with that Maniac remake. There's no way you were ever going to capture the same New York grit and style and feel of the original Spinell film. So instead, they kind of just, we'll put it in the killer's POV. We'll make it like this. We'll do it like that. Like, they changed enough things to make it feel like its own film, and thus why it worked as a remake overall. Because if they just tried to make the Will Lusting film again, it never, ever would have hit the same. It was just that movie had to be made that place, that time, by that guy, and that was it. Hey, how you doing, buddy? By the way, my birthday is coming up on Wednesday. I'm going to see Legend of White Dragon and Coyote versus Acme and Resident Evil. I'm going to the Yankees game. Well, Anthony, I hope you have a very happy birthday, buddy. I hope all's well with you too. Oh shit, nice. I love the Maniac remake. I do too. I think it's a good movie. So Don't Go in the House comes in at number 10. Let's go on to number 9 though. And this is the lowest rated video nasty on my entire list. I actually looked earlier today on ratings, which would be the lowest rated nasty that I had that made my top 10. And you look no further than this movie right here. You look no further than the year of 1977. You look no further than the one and only Nazi exploitation movie to make my list. And this is none other than the Gestapo's Last Orgy. Yes, brief plot synopsis. A Jewish woman who survived the horrors of a concentration camp revisits the ruins of the camp along with former SS officer and recollects the humiliation, the torture, and the constant abuse she went through. Whoa, okay, the Gestapo's Last Orgy. This is an absolute mind-disturbing, terrifying picture in and of itself as well. And I love how it's done. I think this is a really, really good Nazi exploitation. Now, I like most of the Nazi exploitation movies that are on the Video Nasties list. Like, I love Camp 7. I think The Beast and Heat is fun. Gestapo's Last Orgy, absolutely the best. SS Experiment Camp, not so much. That's the one I do not like. But man, if you want nasty, if you want a movie that's truly unsettling to your core, you look no further than this movie right here, The Gestapo's Last Orgy, as we follow this woman, Daniela Poggi, the actress's name, who has in subsequent interviews after making this film said she was ashamed of it, didn't want to do it, got kind of talked into doing it by her publicist / agent at the time. And she went on to be like a model. She didn't do too much more acting, but I do think she does a really good job in this movie as the lead, as this woman who, after the war has ended, has returned to this concentration camp that she was tortured, victimized, and abused in several years ago by this one particular officer. And we watch as the movie opens where she's kind of driving to the camp. She gets there and it's all in shambles. It's all taken down. And she's meeting up with one of the former officers of the camp. And then we flash back to her first day there. And the movie kind of jumps back and forth between past and present as we watch this woman and her experience in the concentration camp. And it is not for the faint of heart, to quote the legendary Jim Ross. This is an absolute disturbing, terrifying. I mean, any kind of word you want to use to describe this movie, this is as unsettling as it gets. As we watch this woman tortured, beaten, and just pushed to the ultimate breaking point as this movie goes on. And to me, what was so good about this and what makes this stand out on the list to get into my top 10 is the fact of what the psychology is of this particular movie. Now, here we have Daniela Poggi, right? A woman that has entered the concentration camp, a Jewish woman who is not selling the fear, is not selling the terror, right? They hang her up upside down in front of a bunch of rats, and, you know, they're trying to intimidate her, and the rats are trying to gnaw at her head. She won't sell it. She won't scream. They abuse her. They abuse her friends. They put her friends in with these rabid dogs who then eat her alive. They invite her to dinner with the other Nazi officers, and they're serving pot roast. And no, it's not your typical pot roast. They're serving unborn Jewish babies at this pot roast. And every single thing they do to try to break her, to try to get her to scream, to try to make her beg and or plead, she won't do it. And she becomes this fascination for our lead officer, who is trying to understand why, oh, why can I not break you? Why can I not take you down to my level? Why can't I make you beg and plead and scream like the rest of these people are doing? Why are these things happening? And we watch as this woman is going through it all, and we're trying to wonder that same thing ourselves. And the whole kind of revelation is that Danielle Poggi's character, she inadvertently gave up her family's location. She was talking to these two men that were undercover Nazi officers, and they asked her, hey, where are the whereabouts of your family? And she said, oh, they're here, but, you know, they're safe from everybody. You guys stay safe too. And what she doesn't realize is she was talking to two undercover Nazi officers, and ultimately cost her entire family to be captured and then killed. So when she gets recruited into the concentration camp, when she is brought in, she feels in her head that I have to endure these things. I have to endure the pain. I have to endure the torment and all these terrible things that these camps have to offer, because I inadvertently did something stupid and cost my family their lives. And we watch this woman as she won't break, because she feels that this torture is necessary to her, because she feels the utter guilt of giving up her family's location. I loved that psychology. I thought that was great. I thought that was such a good idea for a Nazi exploitation film. And while a lot of these are not the most well made, I would argue that this one is really well made. I love the way this is made and the direction here. And it's sad this guy didn't go on to direct much. Cesare Cannavare, he went on to do just a documentary after this, and that was really his end in making films. And I thought he did such a good job at making this feel as raw and unsettling as possible, right? We have a lot of these Nazi exploitation movies that are very tongue-in-cheek, taking one of the darkest things that ever happened in the history of the world, and they're making light of it, right? There's you know, perfect example, The Beast in Heat. It's just an over-the-top movie. SS Experiment Camp. There's literally a Nazi officer that surgically removes one of the guy's balls because his are small. Like that. Like these are silly things to do with a Nazi exploitation movie that don't really garner or maintain its impact. And I think that this is a movie that plays it oh so seriously and pulls all of these chords, all of these kind of tricks in order to garner its disturbing nature and feeling. And I think that that's what Gestapo's Last Orgy is so good for. And as the thing plays on, right, we have our lead, she kind of gets involved romantically with this lead officer. He starts to become attracted to her because she won't sell the fear. And her ultimate breaking point is the fact that they have a child together. She has a child with this Nazi officer, and she's holding the baby in her arms after giving birth to it. And then these Nazis come into the room and say, we'll be taking your baby now. And she's like, what are you doing? Why? And they take the baby, and he explains to her, this is a half breed. It has to die. And that's the straw that breaks the camel's back when they take her baby from her and they tell her that they're going to kill it. And she just starts freaking out. No, you can't do that. That's my child. It's my child. And her ultimate plot of revenge is, okay, I'm going to play it stoic. I'm going to play it safe. Once the war ends, I'll lure him back here in the present day, get him here, and kill him, right? And there's something disturbing in and of the fact of the Nazi officer that wants to revisit his glory. And there's an infamous Twilight Zone that has that same exact plot, Death's Head Revisited, which I see Slasher Fred mentions here. It's the same exact plot, really, right? This guy comes back to relive the glory of Dachau and the pitiful torture that he laid upon the people that were in the camp, and the horrors that ensue from there, right? And this woman tries to outsmart him to get him back to the camp in the present day, and then we kind of plays out from there. I mean, for my money, in my opinion, that's as nasty as it gets. This is a really, really good, disturbing movie. I think they have released a Blu-ray of this. I haven't picked it up. This is actually a hand-me-down from my good friend Will. So shout out to Will for giving me this DVD, because, man, I was blown away by this movie. Great music in this, too. Just like weird sound effects. It's a very unsettling picture. I swear to you, again, I will say it again like a broken record. Not for the faint of heart. Do not watch this movie with anyone that cannot handle disturbing cinema, because trust me, they will freak out. This is a crazy one, well deserving of the Nasties list and well deserving of a top 10 spot on said list. I've never seen this one. I would recommend. Granted, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how nasty you go, but that's a nasty one. The plot sounds like a reversal of The Twilight Zone, Death's Head Revisited. Definitely. Sounds like a women in prison film too. Definitely has elements of it. Just like with the Frank family, makes Salo Pasolini looks like a comedy. Yeah, I mean, it's very reminiscent of Pasolini films. It's very much like the Night Porter. That's a movie that it's very reminiscent of. It's very reminiscent of the Night Porter, in my opinion, and in a good way. Like it would work perfectly with like Salo, with the Night Porter. It's right there amongst. It may not be as good as those movies, but you could watch it alongside those movies and get a similar type of mean spirit feel that those directors delivered. And that's just my opinion on it. But coming in next, we have a movie that got buried in the shuffle here. Sorry, y'all. I don't know what the fuck happened. I think we were here. Okay. Coming up next is a movie by one of the all-time great filmmakers, and a movie that may be the most influential on this whole list when you think about it. I mean, I don't know if there's any movie that's on the Video Nasties list that's more influential than this next movie here from the legendary, the late, great Mario Bava, his one and only list or movie on the Video Nasties list. I'm talking about it here. I'm talking about it now from the year 1971. Bay of Blood. A Bay of Blood. Brief plot synopsis. The murder of a wealthy countess triggers a chain reaction of brutal killings in the surrounding Bay Area as several greedy characters try to seize her large estate. Yes, A Bay of Blood. This is fucking... My goodness, this is a great movie. And it every time, and I did rewatch it this week for show prep. I was like, man, anytime I can have a chance to rewatch a Mario Bava movie, you just go ahead and you do it. And man, this is to me one of his better movies. Like I still, Blood and Black Lace still has my heart. You know, it's still there. It's still my favorite Bava movie. And this was him coming off of a couple of movies that he wasn't as big on, right? He had tried some non-genre films. He made not Four Flies of Red Velvet, $5 for an August Moon. That's a movie that I really like, but he wasn't a big fan of. And this was one of the movies that he had made after trying non-genre films, coming back to a movie that's sort of a slasher, sort of, has giallo elements. It has a lot of different things going on in it, but to me, it's such an important and influential movie in the history of horror that it has to make this list. It's just an absolute layup of a movie to make the list because there's so much going on in a movie that's barely over 80 minutes. It's such a complex film. There's so many things, so many different factors. And what I always found so funny is the most simple thing about A Bay of Blood is the thing that was the most influential and ripped off from it. And obviously tells the story of this heiress that owns this Bay Area, and she is killed off in the beginning. And then that killer is killed. The person that kills the heiress is immediately killed. So I always loved that with Bava almost taking the proverbial black gloves off, right? Let's take the black gloves off, hit you with a left when you think you're going to get it right. And now the killer has been killed. And oh my God, who's the new killer? And we're introduced to all these kind of greedy, disgusting, immoral characters that are all hanging around the Bay, and they all want to get the inheritance. They all want to get the estate, the money, if you will. And I love the way Bava plays with the psychology in this film, because there's one character that's super into bugs, an entomologist, if you will. And you'll see there are scenes where he's playing with these beetles on the table. And the first time I saw it, I thought nothing of it. I was like, that's fucking weird. I wonder why that's thrown in there. And upon another rewatch, I finally picked up on what that is. He has all these bugs on the table, some of them swimming in the water, some of them impaled on their back. Why, oh, why is this happening? this is foreshadowing what the people around the bay, all of your victims, all of your suspects, all of your proverbial red herrings, or in this case, red beetles, if you will, they are all just bugs around the bay. And that to me is what makes Mario Bava one of the all-time greats, is the psychology to look at all of these people as if they were just bugs that are crawling around trying to obtain the estate. And I love that about Mario. Like, that to me is so influential and innovative and just so freaking good. Like, what a different take on a movie like this. And the thing is, the thing that everyone remembers most is just a subplot of this movie where we have four horny teenagers, right? Some of them are taking their clothes off, some of them are dancing, some of them are skinny dipping, some of them are having sex in the bed. All of those things sound oh so familiar, especially if you're from here in the United States, because that is what went on to garner the slasher movie, right? This became a huge influence upon the slasher movie. And the whole story goes is that this and a little movie called The Last House on the Left, they played concurrently in late night drive-ins back in the early 1970s, right? This comes out 71. Last House on the Left comes out sporadically in 72. And these played quite a bit on a double bill, right? They would show Last House on the Left and Bay of Blood back to back. Sean Cunningham went to one of those screenings, saw Bay of Blood, went, my goodness, this would be so cool to bring to the United States. And then 8 years down the road, makes a little movie called Friday the 13th. And it was off from there. Every single movie around the slasher movie pike was trying to be like Friday the 13th. Your Burnings, your Madmans, your Prowlers, you name it. That's what it was. And it was all inspired by a 25% portion of this movie. Yes, I've actually done the math, right, of a movie that's, I think, hour and 24 minutes long. Exactly a quarter of that is the subplot with the characters, these teen characters, right, being picked off in creative ways with the sickle or the billy or whatever you want to call that thing, billix. I don't know what you'd call the weapon in this, but the one guy gets the cleaver to the head, the one girl gets her head taken off, and then the shish kebab spear kill, which got taken all the way in Friday the 13th part 2. It's just crazy that how influential that small portion of this otherwise, other point and things going on in it movie was. And there's no denying that. And that's what I think is so great about Bay of Blood. It's even a quarter of it could go on to inspire several, probably hundreds of other slasher movies that would come out after it. And I don't know, I think Mario Bava just hit a home run with this movie. It's a movie that's very critical on every single character. There are no good people in this movie. Everyone is truly a bug in the bay. And the way he uses the camera, and I truly believe this, that he is the greatest cinematographer that there ever was. I mean, you can throw other names at me, you can argue other names with me. I will stick with Mario Bava as the all-time great cinematographer. He was a great director, don't get me wrong. He could write with the best of them. But as a cinematographer, nobody in the history of this thing ever moved the camera like Mario does. Like the way he moves it throughout the bay, the way it makes you feel like you're in the point of view of the killer, but not as far as walking, but just watching, right? Just watching through peepholes, watching from this vantage point, watching from that one. That's what made Mario so freaking great, man. Like, and he to me is one of the all-time greats and like one of my biggest heroes. Like if someone asked me, hey, if you could reincarnate one of the horror directors, legendary horror directors to meet him, there is no fucking other question. It would have been Mario Bava. Like, I think he's just an absolute legend. And this movie to me is infamous for a reason that's even more infamous than this list. And I think rightfully so. This is a great movie. And honestly, you can make the argument that this should be higher, but I think this is a great movie. I love Mario Bava's A Bay of Blood. Let's see, though, what you guys have to say in the comments, because I think this one's a little bit more well-known than the Gestapo's. Twitch of the Death Nerve. Yes, this one has a ton of different titles. Oh my God, there's more titles. You throw a rock and you hit a title of this movie. The scene where the couple is killed with a spear through the bodies inspired the famous kill in Friday the 13th Part 2. Absolutely. Bay of Blood's fantastic film. I love it too. I think it's a great movie. $5 for An August Moon. I'm not too high on. Need to revisit it. That's one that I really love. But I know the Mario himself never liked the movie. I know a lot of people consider it to be his worst. I'm just not there. Like, I always thought that movie was so good. I recently picked up, I got the Italian version because for years I had that Kino out of print Blu-ray, which just has the English dub, and I hate watching English dub of Italian movies. If I could watch it in Italian, it's so much better. And I finally got to see that movie in Italian, and man, it made it work even better. Like I just think the world of 5,000 August Moon and most of Mario Bava's work. I just think he's great. Bay of Blood classic inspired my favorite movie, Friday the 13th. 2, absolutely fantastic. Can't say enough positives about it. I agree. I think it's a fucking masterpiece. Like, it's truly a movie that you can't really sleep on this list. Like, it has to make this list. Mario Bava! AJ Zitro's in the house. Started the OG first Friday the 13th with the axe kill. Exactly. Yep. The Marcy character. Rest, yes, part 2 copied. LL Minor says to this day he never got inspiration from Bay of Blood. He's full of shit. It played at the same drive-ins as The Last House on the Left. It toured the country with that movie. There's no way they never heard or saw of it. And like, if you watch Friday the 13th, the original, the way the cinematographer goes throughout the woods is blatantly ripping off of Bay of Blood. Like, blatantly. But to me, again, that's something you want to rip off. The greatest cinematographer of all time? Okay, I'll rip him off. Like, yeah, if you're going to rip somebody off, it should be Mario Bava, especially when it comes to cinematography. Inspired many great kills. It did. It changed the genre in another country. How many horror films can say that? A masterpiece. Bava is just one of the GOATs. He is. He's absolutely one of the greatest of all time. There's no arguing it. Effects artist from Bay of Blood, same as E.T. That's right. Killer wearing a sweater to the LOL turtle. That's right. And the terrible haircut. Also played with DeLeo's Slaughter Hotel, which, yeah, not as influential. Let's see, Minor and Cunningham are full of shit if they say they didn't. Well, you know, sometimes that happens. Sometimes people don't want to give credit to other creators. And, you know, I don't think it's beyond someone to do that. I think it's, listen, hey, this was a great movie. We decided to take some things about it. And, you know, it's funny. They'll blatantly say, oh, let's rip off Halloween, but they never gave Mario his desserts. And it's a shame because Mario was gone by the time he could have called them out. The ending with the kids is very Bava and Grindhouse. That's the one thing I never really liked about this movie is the very ending where, spoiler alert, the kids think that the shotgun is a toy and they shoot their parents dead. I get what Mario's going for. He's trying to say, all the bugs die. None of the bugs win. Nobody gets the fucking money. These kids killed their parent. They were the last 2 standing. I get it, but it's rather silly. Like, it's the only thing I wish I wish something else could have happened with them. Like, almost like the ending to Orgasmo, or if anyone's seen that, that's an Alberto Lenzi film. The ending of that is these 2 people, they get away with the money. They're driving. They're having a grand old time. And then they get their heads decapitated. They crash their car and their heads fall off. And that's how the movie ends. Like, that would have been a better ending, like a poetic fuck you. Or even Death Games, right? Where at the end they're walking out of the house and they're, you know, dancing along the street and they get ran down by that car. Like, something like that should have happened. Lamberto helped his dad a lot with later films. Yes, he did. And Lamberto went on to, you know, make quite a few of his own directed films. I think Cunningham said in an interview where he claimed he didn't know about the bed spear kill. Well, he's full of shit. He can say he doesn't know, but he knew. Orgasmo was great. I thought the ending was hilarious and fitting. Yeah, no, I don't know. The ending never did it for me. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's certainly not one of my favorite endings to a movie. It's an otherwise perfect film. Maybe that's why it's lower than, you know, some of the rest of these. But that brings us, my friends, to numero siete, number 7 on this list. And my goodness, if there is a movie that I would consider the greatest non-Romero zombie movie, it's this movie right here. There's no doubt. I know people love Return to the Living Dead. I love Return to the Living Dead too. Love the movie. There's no way it's better than this movie. And like, to me, this has always been the one I put up there with George's movies. And I think the bastard cousin, if you will, between Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, this movie right here from the year 1974, and director Jorge Grau, star Christina Galbo. I love her. One of my faves. I'm talking about it. The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, a.k.a. one of the great titles of all time, one of the great horror titles ever, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Yes, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Brief plot synopsis. After a chance meeting while traveling the countryside, a man and a woman become suspected of murder. They start to leave a lot of dead bodies in their wake, but unbeknownst to the police, the real culprits are the living dead zombies. Yes, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. A movie that just drips in atmosphere. A movie that unsettles you, and a movie that just drops you into a different world. Now, of course, a lot of different nationalities come together here. I mean, this was a movie shot in Manchester, shot in the UK. This is a movie that was directed by a Spanish filmmaker, starred a few Spanish actors, one Christina Galbo, also Ray Lovelock, who was an Italian actor. Like, you have a lot of different nationalities kind of coming to a United Nations zombie movie, if you will, coming together, and somehow, some way, they made, in my opinion, the all-time great non-George Romero zombie movie that there's ever been. I think this is a perfect freaking movie. Like, I absolutely love this thing from top to bottom because, again, it just hits all the boxes. Now, basically what's happening is like the plot synopsis said, a chance encounter between Ray Lovelock and Christina Galbo happens, and slowly but surely they're around this town, and there is a zombie outbreak. There is all these things going on, right? There's this woman in the countryside who's trying to do heroin. She's trying to light up the heroin, and the zombie kind of comes through the window and chases her out. And, we kind of start there. And I love some of just the quietness of this movie and the atmosphere, right? Where Christina Galbo, she's walking along the countryside, and you just see these beautiful green fields, walking on these stepping stones, crossing a nice river, and she sees the zombie in the distance coming slowly but surely towards her. And the way she immediately is like, what the hell? And then panics and runs for the car. I love that. I think that's just it's like unsettling. It's like, oh my God, like, what is going on? This is terrifying. The contacts, right? The zombies all have these red, like, flesh-eating, teeth-esque freaking red contacts that are in their eyes, and they only had a couple of pairs of them, so all the respective zombie actors had to use the same contacts. I love shit like that. And the absolute terror that is derived from Christina Galbo's character. This is a woman that at the beginning she seems cool, right? And as the thing goes on, she's slowly but surely losing herself and her ultimate mind. And to me, one of the craziest things about this movie was the lead, Christina Galbo. Her husband passed away in like his early 30s, about 2 to 3 days before they started to shoot this movie. He passed away like 2 days prior. They bury him, and then she flew off to fucking film this movie the next day. Like, she was mourning the death of her husband who died prematurely, and then comes to the set of this movie like a couple of days after. And man, I think you can see it. Like, the scenes where she's crying, the scenes where she's screaming and feeling the ultimate terror, you really feel that from her. And I think it's a great performance. It may be her best performance. I think she's so good in this movie, and she brings such a different layer of intensity to that role as these living dead creatures are slowly but surely overcoming us. And I think that particular aspect of this movie I always thought was great. And just the world that Jorge Grau kind of creates with it too. Like, just scary ass shit. And this is, you see a lot of gut munching. You see a lot of gut munching that's seen in the mausoleum towards the end. We see gut munching. We see nurses getting their chests ripped off. We see some nasty shit in a video nasty. And I always thought that was, a thing that kind of defined this list. I just think this is a classic horror movie. One of those movies that's like, you could put this on late night with a bunch of friends and just kind of get immersed in the whole thing. I think it's just such a creepy movie. It's a movie that it has a vibe unlike any other, and I think that's a big reason why I always heralded it so high amongst so many different other ones. Now, before I get to comments, there is a fun behind the scenes story of this movie where Jorge Grau, the director, he wanted to get a scene where this woman's yits got ripped off by a zombie. And he was trying to pick an actress to do it. He picks this one actress, and she goes, Jorge, I have to ask you, why did you pick me? Why me for the scene where the lady gets her yits ripped off? And he said very cold, very bluntly, he said, well, you have the smallest yits of anybody, so we could put the prosthetic to make it look like yours is a little bit bigger, and they'll come off easier, and they're flat anyway. And so he's explaining to her that he picked her for this part just because she had small yitties. And then she got pissed. She's like, what do you mean my yits are small? This whole thing breaks out, and she's shaking her fist at him, and he's no, you're perfect for it. I don't mean it as a negative, like trying to explain his case, but ultimately had to wash his own foot down his mouth, I guess. I don't know. I just love stories like that. And one other thing I can say, actually, before I get to the comments, for real this time, the scene where Ray Lovelock realizes that Christina Galbo has turned, right? He goes to visit her in the hospital, and he gets in there, and it's quiet, and she's turned, and then when she reveals that she's a zombie, there are a few scenes in horror movies that are more heartbreaking than that, where you go, oh my God, like his realization of, I have to kill her. And I think even that predated shit like Dawn. Like, and as much as Dawn of the Dead is my favorite movie of all time, that was the first time we saw something like that in a zombie movie, right? With George's films, you know, the sadness that comes from the viewer when Scott Reiniger has to be shot, right? When Scotty turns and into the zombie and Ken Foree's with tears in his eyes has to shoot him, has to put him down, right? And they're all kind of sad when they hear that this has happened, right? The fear of losing a loved one, right? The grief portion of a zombie and what it means to be amongst the living dead. And that point of it, I think, predated even a movie like Dawn of the Dead. None of that stuff is in Night of the Living Dead. There's never a point where you go, oh, I have to put this person down, despite the fact that this was once someone I loved when they were a living human as opposed to a living zombie, right? And like, I think that element of it was really important too and really smart. Like, I don't know, I just think this is a perfect movie to me. Like, there's few movies I look forward to in the Video Nasties list more than Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Another movie that had about 30 different fucking titles. Like, I think one was Attack of the Agricultural Zombies, Don't Open the Window. There's like 100 different titles. Living Dead, the Manchester Morgue, which I always thought was definitely their attempt to try to make it sound like it was a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, which is kind of cheap, but Let Sleeping Corpses Lie is forever the best fucking title for this movie. I still need to watch the Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. I have that Blu-ray. Dude, man, it's a masterpiece. It's a great movie. I know Merns doesn't like it. Merns not a fan of Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Let audience members sleep. I tried twice. It's so boring. Yeah, not a movie, I guess, for the Merns. Merns doesn't like it, but I don't know. I think it's a really good movie. I could totally see. It's definitely not for everyone, I guess, but man, as far as atmospheric horror goes, that's one of my faves. You really think it's better than Return of the Living Dead? I'll take even the second one over Manchester Morgue, to be honest. Not that it isn't good. Wow. See, Return of the Living Dead 2, I think, is a terrible movie. Like, I know some people are very nostalgic for it, especially kids of the 80s. So to them, I will preface by saying we just grew up in different eras. I think Return of the Living Dead 2 is a terrible fucking movie. That is a G-rated zombie movie that for whatever reason some people are very nostalgic for. I'm guessing because if you see a G-rated zombie movie when you were a kid, you like Return of the Living Dead 2. I think that is one of the worst sequels there's ever been. I hate Return of the Living Dead 2. I hate that Ken Wiederhorn, or where the fuck his name is. That guy sucks. I do not like him as a director or a human. All the behind the scenes stories of that movie with Don Kalfka, they humiliated him. I don't know. Return of the Dead 2 is like a horrible movie to me. The original Return of the Dead, all-time classic. Great movie to see in the theaters. Great movie to watch with a bunch of friends. Punk rock zombies. One of the best zombie movie of the 1980s in a lot of ways. The zombie movie that we needed in the 1980s. I think Day of the Dead still might be my favorite 80s zombie movie, but I think that Return of the Living Dead fit that era better. It fit the 1980s better. It was the movie that they needed at the time, but maybe not the better movie of Day of the Dead and Return of the Living Dead. Lovelock, a great actor, was in a giallo called Autopsy with Missy Farmer. We love Missy Farmer as well. Burial Ground, I have to have above Return. Okay, interesting. Didn't he also do Shockwaves? You don't like that movie either? That movie's okay, but no, I'm not a Ken Wiederhorn fan. That guy he's a piece of shit human for number one. Doesn't like the genre, number two. I am not, no. Like Shockwaves is a better movie than Return of the Living Dead 2, if you're asking that, but is it on the level of fucking Let Sleeping Corpses Lie? Hell no, man. Hell no. I'm not a fan of that guy. But that's just me. I'm not a Return of the Living Dead 2 fan. I'm sure I'll get some shit from that, but I don't really care. Because I know this next movie, I know I'll probably get some love from it. I think this is a great movie, and it is from the maestro. It is from the all-time greatest filmmaker that there's ever been, Mr. Dario Argento. This is a movie from the year 1982. I'm talking about The Darkness, a.k.a. in Italiano, Tenebrae. Yes, Tenebrae from 1982. An American novelist visiting Rome to promote his latest book is stalked and harassed by an obsessed fan who is committing the string of murders that appear to be tributes to his own work. Yes, Tenebrae. My goodness. This is, oh my God. You don't get movies like this anymore. Like, this is just, to me, one of the all-time great giallo movies. And to me, a big movie in the career of Dario Argento, because the story goes, and funny enough, another video nasty, Inferno, which doesn't make this list. Inferno came out and was not well perceived. Dario himself has claimed it's one of his least favorite pictures he ever made. And a lot of people felt that, hey, you've gone too far with these witch films, right? People loved Suspiria, but then they didn't like Inferno. And he felt the pressure. They put pressure on him, his own fans and his own collaborators. And they said, hey, why don't you go back to what got you to the dance? Why don't you go back to making Jolly? And Dario said, okay, I'll do another giallo. And Tenebrae was the movie that we end up getting. And this is, to me, one of his absolute best movies. It's in his top 5 for sure. It might not be, I would say this is number 5, then Opera, then Phenomena, then Deep Red, then Suspiria. That would be my top 5 of Dario Argento movies. But man, it's really great, and it stars Anthony Francios. He plays the lead writer in this film, Peter Neal, and he's this guy who is a novel writer, and he writes this book called Tenebrae. And one by one in the town where he's going to tour the book on, people are being picked off and victimized by a killer with a switchblade pocket knife type of thing. And we see Ania Pironi is one of the people that's picked off. Funny enough, she plays the mother of Tears in Inferno. She's in the previous film. Also shows up in another video nasty, House by the Cemetery. She's the creepy babysitter. Love Ania Pironi. So funny that she worked with Fulci, she worked with Argento, she worked with quite a few big directors in her day. Kind of crazy how that worked. And she had these beautiful beautiful blue eyes, just a really beautiful woman. And there's another woman in this that's quite famous. We'll get to that story too. But we follow as these killings are going on, and there are a lot of red herrings. And could it just be the writer of his own books? And we kind of follow the mystery from there. Now, you can't talk about this movie without the score from Goblin. I mean, Goblin does such a good job with this particular score, and obviously they were coming back after the layoff of Inferno, where it was Keith Emerson that did that score. They come back to work with Dario here, and it's maybe not as up there with Deep Red or Suspiria, but it's still one of my favorite horror movie scores. It's such a good one. Such a good freaking score in this, as Goblin just adds an intensity and excitement factor to this that otherwise without it, I don't know if the movie hits the same. Dario's dream sequences in the movie of the woman in the red shoes on the beach, who actually was a trans actress or actor. I'm not sure what they transitioned into, but that was I think it was a trans woman. The sequences on the beach of the man trying to catch the woman and then her shoving her big red heel in his mouth, just shit like that, just creepy, just classic Dario Argento, just these weird dreamsicle sequences, just amazing. The best sequence in the movie of the two girls that are in the apartment together, right? One gets out of the shower, and the way he uses the crane shot, right, to go from one floor of the apartment to the other, and these two girls talk to one another, that you get the switchblade of the hole in the shirt, you see the iconic image of the woman shocked and then killed, and then we follow the crane camera as we go to the girl on the top floor, and then she gets attacked by the killer, and then this ultimate picture on the cover here of her bleeding down her neck as she falls into the mirror. Like, to me, that's one of, if you want a highlight reel of why Dario Argento is the greatest director in the history of the world, you watch that scene in Tenebrae. It's unbelievable how he does it. It feels like it never ever cuts, right? It's just an amazing sequence of two different murders in one apartment, but on two different floors with one camera and one director of fucking excellence. And man, Dario is just the absolute all-time greatest to me. And Tenebrae is a movie that really does prove that. Now, there's also a really funny scene, and a reason why this particular movie was in hot water with the video nasties. Now, you may know this actress, you may not. Veronica Lario is in this movie as Jane McCarrow. She is one of the victims in the movie. You might remember, she's the lady who, at the end, she's holding the gun by the window. And all of a sudden, the window crashes. There's an axe, and her arm gets cut off. And she sprays the wall with all of her Crayola red blood, right? Amazing effect, amazing sequence. One of the great gore real kills in Dario's entire career. Got him in a lot of trouble, but not for censorship reasons, even though this was banned and prosecuted by the video nasties. That wasn't the reason. The reason was this actress, she would go on to marry the prime minister. Yes, she would go on to marry the prime minister of, I think it was Italy. She'd go on to marry him, and then he saw this movie and was outraged and was pissed and wanted Dario hung up on a string. He wanted Dario just to in a room for 5 minutes and no cameras on, right? Just to beat the shit out of this guy. He got really upset that she showed her face in this movie, and for years didn't want it to play in television or syndication or anything like that. So I always thought that was a crazy story to get into hot water because this woman go on to marry the minister, and then that got Dario in hot water. Like, to me, that's video nasties 101. Like, to offend somebody of that higher power, the fact that the minister watched fucking Tenebrae is one of the coolest things ever to me. And it's a great movie. Like, honestly, I do stand by that this is a top 5 Dario movie. I really should upgrade to the 4K of this. I don't know why I'm still in the Stone Age with the Blu-ray. I think the Blu-ray looks great, but man, to me, Dario's movies, if there's any director to watch in 4K format, it's Dario Argento. I've got to double dip and just bite the bullet, get the Synapse 4K of this because man, I love this movie. Can we talk about the original cut of Meatloaf's "I Would Do Anything for Love"? That was put on the nasty list. I hope we get a release of it one day. Welcome, Jason. What's going on, buddy? Hope all is well with you. I love Shockwaves and Return of the Living Dead 2, but didn't know he was a piece of shit. Oh, man, if I told you some stories about that guy, you would trust me, would agree with me. He did some terrible shit. And, yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen, you know what? You can save me the stories. If you watch the making of documentary of Return of the Living Dead 2, I don't think there was one person that worked on that movie that had something good to say about that guy. Like they all fucking unanimously hated him. I think Tom Matthews had the great line where they said, "What was your favorite part of working on Return of the Living Dead 2?" And he said, "The craft services." That was what he said. So Tenebrae, yes, very damn good. That ending is French kiss. Yes, it is. It's my goodness, like the twists and turns and the first killer versus the last killer. John freaking Saxon. I believe this was the first time that Dario worked with John Saxon, who, funny enough, he shows up on another nasty, Cannibal Apocalypse, which doesn't make the list, but is another video nasty. Love John Saxon. He's a freaking great actor. Love Inferno. Inferno, I won't lie to you. It's of his golden era, the one I go back to the least. I think like of his golden era, that's the weak one for me. But I do have nothing but respect for it. And I think that it may be his most impressive film from a visual standpoint. I do think, though, it's one of the few movies, for me at least, that because the narrative structure is so all over the place, it kind of loses me a little bit. But a lot of Dario movies have that problem and they don't bother me. But Inferno, I'm always like, wait a minute, we're looking for a key underwater. We're going here now. Like what? Like, I don't know. That Inferno is one that I'm not as big on as most people. Still a great film, though. Still a great film. He had a hard time on that film. He was sick. He was deadly sick. And who else but Mario Bava to step in? Deep Red is my number one from him. Suspiria. I think Mateo's the same way. I think Mateo always says Deep Red's number one, and then Suspiria is the greatest Italian horror film of all time. Yeah, Suspiria is his best to me, but yeah, you can't go wrong with either of those. Oh yeah, Tenebre's wicked. Dario is your guy, man. Dude, you can't fucking miss with Dario Argento. Hey John, did I hear you mention Argento? It's like Joe Hendry. Say his name and he appears. What's up, Darren? Hope all's well with you, buddy. Good to see your name. It's been too long. Tenebrae, another classic. I can't say enough about it. I didn't realize it's a nasty. Guess I didn't look far enough down the nasty list. Well, there's 72 movies to go to, so I can see how it could get lost in the shuffle, but this is a great movie, man. I just love this movie. John Saxon as well, yes. I bought a ticket to see Goblin play the score of the screen. Oh, really? That's so cool. Oh, man, how was that? That's great, man. Elliot O'Darren, people saying hi. Let's see. The dog chasing the girl up to the climax is great. Oh my God, yes, that with that almost like a pool filter. That whole scene looks so blue, like that, just that chlorine filter on the pew, man. I love that look, the look of that. Damn, the UK were hypocrites. LO, they would literally cut film from tapes and repackage them. Tenebrae fucking rocks. The Synapse 4K is stellar, bro. Yeah, no, it is. I've got to get it. I've totally got to just bite the bullet on that. I don't know why. I just I think when it came out, it was like $60 and I went, I don't know about that, but man, I've got to upgrade. Like, this is one of my favorites. I love this movie. One of my favorite Dario movies as well. This would definitely be in a top 10 nasties as well. Watched last year on Halloween. Oh, that's cool to watch this on Halloween. I don't know. I'm trying to think what would be Dario's best movie to watch on Halloween. I mean, most would probably say Suspiria, but like I might even go Mother of Tears. On Halloween, that would be so fun to watch that. To me, like the best movies to watch on Halloween are the dumb fun ones. Like that to me is the best Halloween night movies because I want to watch the more serious stuff leading up to Halloween, and then on Halloween, like give me Mother of Tears, baby. Tenebrae is absolutely beautiful. The hands of Silvio. Let me try this name. Berlusconi even grabbed the maestro. Soundtrack top-notch, great shots, awesome editing. Yeah, ending, yes. Can you tell me the name of the minister, Mateo, that I'm forgetting here? The minister of that time? I can't think of his damn name, but I know she married him, and then he got pissed about it. Inferno is my favorite Argento, but on a list of top video nasties, nah, there are far nastier. Well, I don't know. I don't really know if I rated these as far as how nasty they are, per se. Like, I just rated them on how much I like them. But yeah, no, it's probably not a movie that deserves to be on the list. Like, I don't think Inferno is nasty enough to be on a list like this. But yeah, I mean, maybe it is. There's the scene with the cat killing. There's the, oh, that is who it is. It is Silvio. Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. Silvio Berlusconi. He was the fucking minister. I'm sorry. I couldn't think of his name. For me, Inferno is a guilty pleasure. Like for you, if I'm not mistaken, Mother of Tears. Yeah, I love Mother of Tears. Phenomenon, Halloween, Great Argento. That might be the one, man. That's top 3 Argento for me. I love that particular movie. That's a classic. But let's move on we're jumping into the top 5 now. Yeah, wow, this is crazy how fast this has gone. We jump into the top 5 with a movie that just absolutely blew me away the first time I saw it. And I think it's the most underrated movie on the entire list. I know a lot of people don't like this movie. I get a lot of shit for it. I do not care. I think this is a fucking masterpiece if there ever was one. From the year 1972, I'm talking about it here. I'm talking about it now. I'm talking about The Cannibal Man. Yes, The Cannibal Man. Brief plot synopsis. A meat factory worker accidentally kills a taxi driver and begins gradually killing people close to him in order to cover up his original crime. He starts getting rid of the mounting corpses stored in his bedroom through his daily job. Yes, from director Eloy de la Iglesia, who we've covered a few of his movies on here, whether it be The Creature or whether it be some of his experimental drug films. And my goodness, this is a movie that I think more people need to see, and you need to see it under a different light. Now, obviously, everybody hears that title, The Cannibal Man, and they automatically assume a movie along the lines of a cannibal ferox make them die slowly, or a Man from Deep River, or a cannibal holocaust, cannibal apocalypse, cannibal terror, Mountain of the Cannibal God, all of these cannibal movies that were shot in the Green Inferno that were made by all these different Italian filmmakers that were coming up around the pike. They hear that title and they think it's going to be one of those. And then when it's not, I know a lot of people that kind of turn the other cheek to it. No, fuck that movie. I don't want to see it. It's not a traditional cannibal movie. I don't want to hear there or anywhere. Well, to be honest, the actual name of the movie is La Semana de Asesino. I'm sorry. I speak a little Spanish. La Semana de Asesino, which means the week of the killer. That was the real actual title of this movie when it came out. However, in the United States, they said, wait a minute, why don't we repackage this and call it The Cannibal Man and try to sell it for that? A lot of people felt that was mismarketing, which it absolutely was. And a lot of people just kind of hate the movie for that reason. And that's fine if you do. I can totally understand if you can't get past that point. But man, if you can, I think what you have here is one of the all-time great video nasty movies, and a movie that I think is amongst perfection if I've ever seen it. And it's definitely Eloy de la Iglesias' best film. I love this movie. It stars Vicente Parra in the movie. He is this guy who's low class, lives in this really shithole home in the middle of absolute nowhere. It's hot. It's the middle of the freaking summer. He works in this meatpacking factory, and he starts to date Emma Cohen. You might remember Emma Cohen from a little movie from Jess Franco, The Other Side of the Mirror. She was the lead in that film. Absolutely love Emma Cohen. May she rest in peace. She has these great, like, blue puppy dog eyes. Just always looks sad. Always looks like very depressed woman. Like, she's so good in the movies. I really like Emma Cohen. And he's dating her, and she's this younger girl who comes from wealth, who comes from money. And they're sort of seeing each other secretly, and they're having this forbidden relationship, right? Because she's having a relationship with this man that's older, that's not of any wealth, that lives in this shithole. And then where she's the opposite. She's younger, she's beautiful, she has a lot of money, and her parents have a lot of money and things like that. And it seems like a situation where they shouldn't be crossing worlds. Well, one night they go out on a date, it's going well, they get a cab back home after drinking a little bit, and they start making out with each other in the back of the cab, and the taxi driver's had enough of it. Get out of my fucking cab, stop making out in here, I'm kicking you out, get out onto the road. And he kicks them out of the cab, and he's like, what is the problem? Like, I'm hooking up with my woman. Why do I have to explain any of this to you? Like, why can't we just do this? And one thing leads to another, and he accidentally kills the cab driver. He hits him with a rock in self-defense, and the cab driver dies. And then it becomes a whole thing. Do we turn ourselves in? What do we do? And he's saying, listen, I can't turn myself in. I have no money. I come from nothing. Like, they're not going to take my word over this. I'm going to be, unfortunately, the one that ends up in jail, and I'm spend the rest of my life in a prison bars. I can't do this. I can't just walk away from my life. And she's saying, you have to do it. You have to turn yourself in. And it's through their argument that he ultimately kills Emma Cohen as well. And slowly but surely, he starts to become a serial killer, and he is committing all these acts of murder, killing one person after another in order to cover up his previous crimes, right? Someone comes looking for Emma Cohen, kills that person. Somebody comes looking for that person, he kills that person. His brother shows up, hey, you should turn yourself in, kills him. And the whole movie kind of plays out where it's an entire week in the life of this man who's now become a killer, who's forced to become a serial murderer. And he doesn't want to do these things. But I think that the genius in it is throughout its psychology and its storytelling from the director. Now, Eloy de la Iglesia was a gay man. He was a gay filmmaker. And in a lot of ways, he writes a character in this movie that's very similar to who he was. He has this man across the way that's living in this really nice apartments that overlook the poor slum that the cannibal man is from. And every now and again, they kind of run into each other while he's walking his dog or taking his nightly walk of the night. And the two of them kind of cross paths and talk and things like that. And it's through their friendship, and slowly but surely it seems like they may even be starting a relationship. And it's a very interesting thing that's going on here. Wait a minute. What's going on? So we have a killer that's hiding actual people, actual bodies in his closet. And here we have a man on the other side who is obviously hiding things of his own in his proverbial closets, right? And these two worlds start to come together as the two of them, start to hang out. They go one night to a pool. They go one night out to eat, and they start to kind of become friends over time. And slowly but surely, the charade is being so hard to be held up, right? He can't continue to hide these murders. He can't continue to hide these crimes. And what he does is he starts taking the bodies to work with him and putting them in the meat grinder. He works in this meat factory. And that, I think, is where the American distributors got the name the Cannibal Man. Wait a minute. So he's putting the bodies into the meat packer and then people are eating the meat. Oh my God, that's sort of cannibalism. So that's why I think they decided to call it that and sell it as that, when that is not really what it is, but that's what they decided to do to sell it. But to me, again, the psychology here, the genius of it, and I can walk you through it, is each death, each murder, each crime he commits is all from someone that is telling him what to do, right? You have to turn yourself in. You have to turn yourself in. You can't do this anymore. You can't hold up this charade. You shouldn't be doing X, Y, or Z, right? That's what's going on here. Everyone's telling him no. He persists. They push back. He kills their asses. That's what's going on here. Until one night he gets invited by his friend to go up to his nice, fancy apartment. He goes up there and he says, here, I have binoculars. Why don't you look outside with them? He looks outside and he can see into his own home. He can see the dead bodies that are there inside the house. And he looks at him and goes, oh my God, this guy knows that I've been killing all these people all along. He's seen the dead bodies. He's seen me commit these acts of crime. And he gets a shattered glass and walks up to this guy and puts the glass to his throat and threatens to take his life. But he doesn't. It's in that moment to me that Eloy expresses all the things he's trying to get out with this particular story, right? It's through all these people's pushing back that ultimately gets him to commit murder, to bring out the monster from within. But it's through the gay character's submission, his non-pushback, his, listen, don't do this, but doesn't say anything, just keeps calm, his submission, he's spared. And that is the whole point of the movie, is that if you just submit, if you just say, listen, you have to figure this out on your own, that's when the guilt arises. That's when he comes to his senses. And the final shot you see is him calling the police, and he says, listen, I killed X, Y, and Z person. I'm going to be outside my house waiting for you. And that's the whole kind of full circle for this movie, right? Here's a guy that was in love. Here's a guy that met the woman of his dreams, right? That even though she was younger, even though she had more money than him, even though she was of all these different things, and it seemed like a forbidden relationship, he wanted to make it work until it wasn't, right? Until one faithful cab driver got in the way. And then this person and that person and this person get in the way of it, right? These things can kind of mess up the plan in order to live your best life, to live in your happy state. And it's through this character he meets from across the way that makes him finally realize that what he's been doing is something that you can't come back from. And it's truly horrific in that way. And I think that it's definitely the most underrated video nasty there ever was. I truly believe that. I know that people cannot get past the fact of what it's called. And if that's the case, it is what it is. But man, I think this is a fucking gem. I really do think this is one of the all-time great Spanish horror films as well. I think this is great. Cannibal Man from 1972. Highly recommend it to anyone who may not have seen it before. But let's see what y'all have to say in the comments. Jeff is here. Welcome, Jeff. Hope all is well with you. Oh, same director of Day of the Beast? No, not same director of Day of the Beast. That slipcover though, buddy, what a beauty. Dude, yeah, Severin killed. When I heard Severin was coming out with this, I was a pig in shit. Like, this has always been one of my faves. I think this is such a good freaking movie, man. So good. Just, again, too, with like sexual tension in the movie, right? It's not even just this neighbor guy. There's a woman at the local diner that is head over heels just trying to fucking convince him to have sex with her. They finally do. And then, oh, let me clean up for you. And she finds one of the bodies and he has to kill her too. And there's a scene where he's bashing her head against the wall while these kids outside are kicking around a soccer ball, right? There's the life imitating art type of thing, or death imitating art, which is crazy. Have not seen this one, but I think you'd really like this. I would go out on a limb, and I do think it's on Prime Video if you want to watch it on there. For free. It's a totally one to watch. That's a nice slip. Shit movie, Grande, boring as hell. Come on. Hey, let this guy, AJ Zetro, just throwing stones at me, buddy. Hey, you know what? That's fine. I know you hate this one. I know Will always rags on me for not liking this one. I don't care. I think it's a great movie. I think you guys got to give it a better chance. I don't know. I didn't mind it. Had an interesting story. Eloy made another great movie called No One Heard the Scream. Really great movie, a bit better than Cannibal Man. Yeah, no, they've released a lot of his movies. He was a guy, it's sad, he got addicted to heroin at a fairly young age. He was somebody that drugs just completely derailed his entire career. Like, there's the whole story where one of his longtime collaborators saw him on the side of the road like 20 years after they had made a movie together. And he was offering people to wash their cars with like Windex and paper towel in order for money, in exchange for money to buy drugs. This was a guy that was, homeless and lost everything. And then, he's Eloy, get in the car. And the whole story is that he brought Eloy in the car and they got him straight and they got him, back on not doing drugs anymore. And they did get to make one movie before he passed, but the drugs took a big toll. I mean, the drugs are no joke, man. It took a toll on his life. It ruined his career. And he had a lot of promise, in my opinion. Like, I think Eloy was a fucking really good filmmaker. This is AJ's favorite movie. I know. This is not a popular one, but it is what it is. You would expect him to be like Rick in Casablanca. I did not think we were going to get a Casablanca one where he and Louis walk into the fog, and Rick says, "Louis, I think this could be the start of a beautiful friendship." Slasher Fred is the Cannibal Man. I got to check it out. It's a good one, man. Finally back. Michelle is here. Great Mexican slasher called Hell's Trap. I highly recommend. Okay, all right, cool. Maybe for the next Spanish horror movie special, that would be fun. But yes, my friends, that is number 5. And now we move on to number 4. Yes, number 4 coming in. This is an all-time classic. If this is not on your Nasties list, I just don't think your list is worth a shit. Like, this is one that has to be on every list. It almost just feels like it has to be. From the year 1981, the gold standard of independent horror movies. There's nowhere else you have to look. The Evil Dead. Yes, The Evil Dead from 1981. 5 friends travel to a cabin in the woods where they unknowingly release flesh-possessing demons. Yes, we're gonna get you. We're gonna get you. The Evil Dead. Like I've always said, this is the gold standard of independent horror cinema, man. This is the horror movie that all independent up-and-comers want to make. This is the movie that you want to make because, again, and this gets lost in the shuffle now, where you see your Evil Dead Burns and Evil Dead Fries and Evil Dead remakes and the people that just praise these new movies like they're great and whatever. That's fine if you think that, but I truly think those movies miss what makes Evil Dead, the original, the Evil Dead, one of the all-time great movies, not just horror movies, but movies. And that word that you're looking for is creativity. The original The Evil Dead is one of the most creativity-driven films that there's ever been. There's so many things going on, so many different gimmicks and gadgets used in this picture, and it's the simplest of stories. It's the biggest cliche of stories. 5 kids go to a cabin in the woods. Crazy things happen from there. Could you get more generic than the setup? I don't think so. But at the same time, what he did was he changed the fucking genre forever. He forever changed the genre. He forever put his name on the map. He forever gave up-and-comers something to shoot for. And that is an important thing. Even 45 years fucking later, this is such an important movie, right? As we watch these 5 kids go to this cabin in the woods and they unleash the Deadites, the evil dead, if you will. And it's not just, again, the gore, which is gore galore in this movie, and especially its sequel, which Evil Dead 2, you can almost taste the corn syrup off the screen. But again, it's other things that aren't mentioned nowadays, like the stuff with the stop motion claymation, stuff like that. The way that Raimi uses the camera to bob and weave itself as if it was the evil deadite entity throughout the forest, right? Crashing through the glass. And the scare sequences of, do guess what card I'm picking? 4 of spades, 3 of spades, 7 of clubs. And then the effect of her turning around and, come on, Ash. Like, that's nightmare fuel, dude. Holy shit, man. Every single time I see that, it never gets old. It truly unnerves you every single time. As we watch these 5 kids slowly but surely be terrorized by the evil dead. And it wasn't the wood. It wasn't anything, Ashley. It was the woods themselves. They're alive, Ashley. You know, so good. I just think that this is, to me, one of the all-time great horror movies that there ever was. And like, obviously made a star, Bruce Campbell. Bruce Campbell as Ash became a really big star, a really big deal, as the years would proceed this movie. And I think everybody else does a really good job too. I always like the cast. I always loved the tension that you feel in this movie. I love the way that Raimi, the whole story goes that there's a poster in the basement of this movie, and it's of The Hills Have Eyes. And it's kind of ripped, and it's aged, and it's torn. It's funny because The Hills Have Eyes was at that point only a few years old, especially when they were filming it. It was a fairly new movie, but that poster, you could see it in the basement, and it's almost his nod to Wes Craven to say, that was a crazy movie. That was the last scariest movie I've seen. Here, kid, watch what I can do. And it's kind of emulated throughout time. That's one of the things that I always loved with this movie, that Sam never forgot where his roots came from. He was always a fan of it first, and then went from there to make his own creative cinema. And like, there's just so many cool things, like the light bulb filling up with blood, and the fun classical music at the end of the movie, the camera busting through doors and going into the point of view of Ash. Like, so good, man. I just think The Evil Dead is one of the all-time perfect movies. Like, it's just, every time I watch it, it never ceases to amaze me, and it never ceases to make me remember a bygone era that's really not here anymore. Like, this is a movie that, like, to me, you can't remake this. You can't make sequels to it. It doesn't really ever hit differently than the original Evil Dead from 1981. I love this movie. I think this is a great, great, great movie. I'm curious to hear what you all have to say, though, in the chat. Let's see. People saying hi. Can't go wrong with Evil Dead. No, you can. It's a fucking classic. It's just an absolute classic. What the Evil Dead a classic is how, what makes Evil Dead such a classic is how Raimi uses the POV camera as the true evil. Absolutely. The original trilogy is amazing. The new one's not so much. I'm done with Evil Dead. I will never watch the new. I'm done. Like, they ruined it. They completely ruined it. They always ruin shit, and that's when they ruined. But yeah, no, the original 3 are great. I always prefer this one. I think this is to me, this is independent, raw, gold standard horror. The second one, I think so many people gravitate towards because it's fun. It's really fun, and it's very much more defining the latter half of the 1980s as a whole, whereas this was defining more, even so, like, it feels like the late 70s in a lot of ways. Like, it's a different type of feel between those movies. Then Army of Darkness is a bunch of fun. Evil Dead 1 and 2 are some of the best horror movies ever. Absolute fun. Yeah, they are. They really are. Like, and I always felt this way with 2 Evil Dead. Like, you could watch this movie in either perfect high def, or you could watch it on the shittiest VHS ever. It's the perfect movie night with a bunch of buddies. Like, it's a perfect, let's order a pizza, let's order some, some beverages, let's get some chips going, and it's just always a good time. I like Evil Dead 2 a little bit more, but the OG is classic in the horror genre, changed everything. It really did. The tree, yeah, that, my goodness, that scene to this day I think is so disturbing. Like, holy shit, that's a hard watch. There's also a scene, yes, yep. Definitely one of the best. Just went to see the newest one in the theater. Oh, cool. Okay. I don't know. I heard a lot of good. I heard more good than bad. I heard a lot of people were like, oh, it was like a French Extremity. I was like, that wasn't on my bingo card, but I'm good. I'm done. Like, I am totally tapped out on Evil Dead movies. Speaking of The Hills Have Eyes, they even use a clip from The Evil Dead and A Nightmare on Elm Street. That's right. That's how the story goes. I see that Jeff means it here. And then Craven responded by putting Evil Dead and Nightmare on Elm Street, and then Raimi put a Freddy glove in Evil Dead 2. Yeah, I love, like, that's to me why I love it. Like, I like that there's totally the equal admiration there. We're not ripping off anything. We're not paying homage. We are paying homage. That's a good way to put it. You're paying homage. Like, I liked your movie, you like my movie. That's cool. Like, I think that's really cool. Sam Raimi does not miss. No, Sam Raimi's the fucking man. I love Sam Raimi. Evil Dead 1 and 2, absolute classics. I agree. Evil Dead is an absolute masterpiece. Yep. Evil Dead just made my list, just not my top 10. Well, I love it. I think it's a great movie. I'm not interested in anything that comes out after Army of Darkness because what I've seen is garbage. Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm just, it's to me, it's this movie, and I love the 2 sequels as well. But then after that, I leave it there. This is, though, to me, one of the all-time greats. Love the Evil Dead. Top 3, y'all. Top 3. Any predictions? And anybody, if you want to share your list, like I said, feel free to share it. But in the meantime, we're going to get into number 3. Yes, number 3 of the all-time top 10 Video Nasties list, in my opinion. And we follow with what, in my opinion, has the all-time greatest performance in a Video Nasties movie. What may be the all-time greatest breakup movie, not just in Video Nasties world or horror world, but of all time. I'm talking about it here. I'm talking about it now. I'm talking about 1981's Possession. Yes, Possession from 1981. Brief plot synopsis. A woman starts exhibiting increasingly disturbing behavior after asking her husband for a divorce. Suspicions of infidelity soon give way to something much more sinister. Yes. My goodness. Possession. I'll never forget the first time I saw this movie and how fucking badly it freaked me out. I could tell that. I guess I could tell that anecdote first because that's like forever this movie's legacy with me. I watched it. I want to say it was late high school that I watched this movie. And it was late night. I kind of put it on a whim. It's, you know what? You could track when it came out, when I watched it. It was whenever Shudder first came out. Because I had always wanted a physical media copy of this. And I know they're coming out, Umbrella's coming out with a new 4K of it. I still am stuck with this old school Chinese DVD here, which is, definitely kind of funny. Kind of a relic here. But it does work on Region 1 players for what it's worth. And this is my only physical copy of it, to be honest. But I watched this movie right when Shudder debuted because I'd always wanted to see it. Shudder debuts. It was on Shudder. I got that 7-day free week trial, and I finally watched this. I finally sat down to watch it. But it was a long day. I remember I was tired, and I kind of laid down. I was watching it kind of with one eye open. And obviously, the movie tells a story of Isabella Adjani and Sam Neill. May obviously Sam Neill rest in peace. Someone else that we've just lost this year. They are this married couple. They live around the Berlin area, and he's this kind of photographer that goes off, in the war, and he comes back and basically hears the worst news that anyone would want to hear is that his wife, Isabella Adjani, does not love him anymore. She does not want to be with him anymore, and she asks him for a divorce. And the movie, kind of the opening 30 minutes, is the horrors of a breakup, the horrors of the grief of a divorce, right? These two people that loved each other once that no longer love one another, and their child that's kind of caught in the middle. And I love the way that the director shoots a lot of this stuff, because there's a scene where they try to meet each other in this diner, and the two of them can't sit facing each other. They instead sit like this, right? Just to tell the story that they're have their backs to each other. It's almost like Sam Neill cannot look her in the eye anymore because he's so disgusted in the rejection, in the wanting for a split, right? That's kind of what he's feeling as this guy who's about to be a widowed husband. And he asks her, he makes the final question, did you find someone else? Have you fallen in love with someone else other than me? And she says, yes, I have. And he becomes this monster, just angry and rage-filled, and wants to kill this person, whomever it may be, that's having sex with her. And he's trying to figure out who he is, right? He hires a private investigator. He's taking shots. He's trying to figure out who is the one that is committed the adultery with my wife? Who's the one that she cheated on me with, right? And he's going all around town. And we're wondering this too as this movie goes along. And there's a lot of twists, there's a lot of turns, there's a lot of things open for interpretation. But what you finally figure out, and big spoiler if you've never seen this movie, but I promise you when you see it, it will not lose its fucking impact. You find out that Isabella Adjani has been cheating on Sam Neill with some sort of a Lovecraftian monster. And when this is revealed, when you see the monster in the bed squirming around and the green and red goo on the bed sheets, I fucking bugged out. I remember watching this. I'm like laying there like this. And then when they show that, and the line, Be careful. He's tired. He's been making love to me all night. I got up the couch. I was like, shut the fuck up. I freaked out. I was like, what in the hell is going on right now? Like, I did not see it coming. I'm thinking, oh man, what's this guy going to look like, right? Is he going to be a brute? Is he going to be a fat fuck? Is he going to, who's this guy going to be? It's a Lovecraftian monster in the bed. And the private investigator just has the reaction of the viewer, like, what in the actual fuck is going on here? Like, crazy. Absolutely sent me. Even the first time, I swear to you, I wish someone had filmed my raw reaction to that, because it was a real, genuine, holy shit moment for me. And there's so much more to meets the eye with this movie. Now, it has a lot to say about the horrors of a breakup, because the director, and I'm not even, I always fuck up this guy's name. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I know he's of a Polish descent. He did a great job with this movie. And I know they're remaking it as we speak. I think the movie's in post-production. No, you can't. There's so many reasons you can't remake that movie, and we can get into them. But man, like, number one is the reason this director made this movie is because he was foreshadowing and discussing his own divorce, right? He had gotten separated from his wife, and this was the movie that kind of came out of him through creative writing after they split up, right? This was the movie he wrote, and he said, I want to make this into a feature-length film where we tell the story of a breakup. But I think there's so much more that meets the eye here, right? There's a lot of scenes where Sam Neill will drop off his son at school, and we'll see the teacher, who's also played by Isabella Gianni, but she's under a different alias. It's not really the same person, although it looks exactly the same, and it's the same actress. You're thinking the whole movie, what is that? And once you get to the finale of this movie, right, where Sam Neill and Isabel Gianni finally confront one another, we see that the monster that we've seen throughout the whole movie, the monster that I've seen, that you've seen, that all the viewers see, is what she sees to be Sam Neill, right? They both want the other to be something that they're not. And that's the whole story that it's telling, right? He sees her as the school teacher with her shoes tied right, and in these nice white clothes, and her hair tied back, right? This goody two shoes. Where she sees him as a monster, right? This evil guy that hasn't shown her enough affection, hasn't shown her the proper love. And these are the parallels that happen when you go through a nasty breakup. And I swear to God, it's very accurate of what it goes through, what it feels like to go through a breakup. And man, I will say this, as good as Sam Neill is in this movie, and I think he's very good, there is no question that it's the greatest performance of any video nasty, and Isabella Gianni should have won Best Actress at the Academy Awards, and I don't care what you say. And of course, I think she did win the Best Actress at the Palme d'Or, right, at Cannes Film Festival. I do believe she won Best Actress there, and this is a movie that she went so hard in that she had to seek physical and mental therapy after it wrapped. That's how much of her heart and soul that she put into this performance as the lead wife in this movie, as this character that's slowly but surely losing her mind, right? There's to me, the infamous scene that's the best scene in this movie is after Isabella Gianni gets the news that she's going to have, she's going to lose her child. She's pregnant with a child and she's going to lose it. She gets off of this train station. She has some groceries in one hand, and she starts to scream and swing the groceries against the wall. And we see milk splatter and food splatter all over. And she's screaming at the top of her lungs until she finally gets to her knees. And all of this disgustingness comes out. This red liquid, this green liquid, almost merging the two, I guess, species there. And then her final yell of horror. That to me is one of the great scenes in the history of horror movies, because again, it is how you feel internally when you're going through these things. It's just so hard to show it and let it out. And when Isabella Gianni does, we can see it's shown how that feeling is felt. And I think that that's what makes Possession one of the all-time great horror movies and one of the all-time great video nasties, is because it's so much more than just a breakup movie, despite being that's what it is on the surface level. I think it's so much more than that at the same time. I love this movie. I think Possession is one of the all-time greats. I love this movie. I am so excited for the 4K because I really got to retire that DVD. You thought I had to retire the Blu-ray of Tenebrae? We got to retire that DVD of Possession. Dan forgot Possession was a nasty. It's like Cronenberg and Lynch had a baby. That's a great way to put it. And it's funny you mentioned forgot it was a nasty. No movie spent a less time on the video nasties list than Possession. Possession was only an official video nasty for 1 month. 30 days it spent on the list. And I'm forever happy that it was, because I do wonder, would this movie have gotten lost in the cracks had it not been on this list? Now, let's be honest. Let's be perfectly honest. Of the list of 72 nasties, there is a lot of shit. Tonight we're talking about the gold, but a lot of those movies are not the greatest in the world. Your Boogeyman 2s, your Cannibal Terrors, your Deliriums, your, my goodness, what else? Bad. Frozen Scream, as much as I like that movie. Snuff, which might be the worst movie I've ever watched for Grande's Graveyard. It's that or Soul Survivors. It's one or the other. I don't know. But Snuff is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But anyway, of all the bad movies that are on there, you know, once you get to something like this, once you get to something that's really, really good, I'm glad in a way, because forever it's on this list, and it could be remembered and brought up, right? If those movies I just mentioned, I don't think anyone will remember Frozen Scream if it wasn't officially a nasty. I don't think anybody will remember Boogeyman 2 or Cannibal Terror or any of these movies. People don't remember them anyway. But just for us diehards, us trolls that want to own all the nasties one day, and I'd like to, I have over half of them. I'd love to own them all one day, but this is one of those things where it's like, I'm happy it was, because it led me to go see it. And man, I was absolutely blown away, because it's just such a different, unique picture. Rewatching Possession right after I got a divorce was such a terrible idea. Yeah, for sure. I could not imagine. I will say, that are breakup movies, when you get broken up with, it's this and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I remember when I first broke up with, an ex, like I tried to watch Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and I fucking cried like a fucking fiend. I cried so bad. I was like, I have to turn this shit off. I have the collector's edition 4K from Umbrella of Possession. Kino released it over here too. Oh, cool. Okay. Cannibal Holocaust, I predict will be there, but super unpopular opinion, I never liked it. I could barely finish watching it, but I love Ferox. I like Ferox a lot too, and your prediction might be right, but we'll see. Sam Neill is James Bond in Berlin. Yeah, I guess so. Exactly like the 1973 romantic movie, The Way We Were. I don't know if it's quite like that, but I hear what you're saying. Possession definitely hits home for me as well, as I went through a similar breakup with my son involved as well. I genuinely think this is a masterpiece, but it's crazy how people either love it or hate it. I think too, Darren, and I know a lot of people that hate this movie, and that's fine. Like, everyone's entitled to love or hate whatever the fuck they want. I think it's too intense, and I think it's very over the top, and I think people don't like that, but that's what relationships are. Those are the feelings you feel, right? They are very over the top when you're going through. How do you go? Answer me this question. For anybody who's ever had their heart broken, which is probably everybody, when you break up with a person or they break up with you, you go from feelings of the week prior of, I love this person. I'm really into this person. I dig her so much, right? That's the A feeling. And then after I thought, this fucking bitch, this fucking piece of shit, what a loser, all of a sudden, between 1 week and the other, you went from loving her, she's great, to, my God, I hate this girl. Oh, this is so bad. That's what it is. That's how the feelings go. It's one extreme to another. That's how it's done. And like, I know people don't like that. They think it's too much. I think it's too over the top. That's fine. I think there's some shitty movies that came out recently that are fucking over the top and don't work. And then some people have argued me there. So we're all on different paths, I guess. But I don't know. To me, Possession can't be fucking topped. It's the all-time greatest breakup movie. It's a great film, but it's what the fuck bonkers. Yeah, I feel it, dude. It hit really close to home, especially when kids are involved. Cronenberg's The Brood was another that hit on that level. Great fix, but damn. See, The Brood is... That might be, it's Videodrome is probably number one, but The Brood is number two. Like, I love The Brood. Oliver Reed is so good in that. Samantha Eggar's a crazy bitch. I love The Brood. That's a great movie. Glass House has to be there crying. Maybe. We'll see. The Brood and my favorite Cronenberg, Oliver Reed. And, Oliver Reed's the fucking best. By the way, it turned 50 this week. I think it was Monday. Happy 50th. To Burnt Offerings, my all-time favorite haunted house movie, starring Oliver Reed, Karen Black, Bette Davis, Burgess Meredith. It's just, my God, that's a perfect movie. Love that one. Amazing movie, Black Love, one of my favorite films of all time. Isabella, performance of a lifetime, great movie. I agree. I think it is the performance of her career. Like, and the fact that she had to get therapy after this is, to me, the craziest. Like, holy shit. Like, I can't imagine going that hard to play a character in a movie that you had to actually seek physical and mental fucking rehabilitation. Like, that's dedication. And Ajani is one of the best, man. I think she's just, not only was she just so beautiful, but she's just such a once in a lifetime talent. And I know in that remake, they're having Margot Qualley or Margaret Qualley play the lead from The Substance and Once Upon a Time and whatever. But there's no doubt she looks like Isabella Johnny, but acting like Isabella Johnny is a completely different animal. I wish her the best of luck. There is no, and I'm sure the marks are going to praise it and jack off in the semicircles and say that she's just as good, if not better, than Ajani. I can already hear them coming. It's like the worst sound in the world if you could hear what I hear. But my God, man, you can never recapture what Isabella Johnny did. Isabel was in Nosferatu. Klaus Kinski, that's right. Yes, the Werner Herzog Nosferatu she was in. That was right before this. Love her in that too. I reenact the subway scene every time I'm driving to work. I think we all do. I think we've all been there. That's like my road rage trigger. The first Omen took straight from Possession. It did. They ripped off Possession. Well, Sam Neill was in the third Omen movie, Black Gloves, and that was the same year. I think it was 1981 was Dame or Omen 3, The Final Conflict, was it called? It was like he becomes the president of the United States. It's a horrible fucking movie, but it's better than Omen 4, The Awakening. I remember that. The guest mirrors Possession in my opinion. Okay, interesting. I don't know. Love Burnt Offerings. Reed was one of a kind. Heart Attack on the set of all my all-time favorite films. Gladiator. Right. He got in the drinking contest. I know he got in trouble on what was the name of that fucking movie? Cutthroat Island. He got in trouble because he was at the bar and he had asked Gina Davis to like sit with him and she said no, and he fucking mooned her and they had to fire him from the set. Funny enough, the guy who did the Smile movies is directing that remake. Really, I like the Smile movies. That makes me slightly intrigued, but I won't touch the original. No, you can't remake it because it comes from such a personal place. But I like Smile 1 and 2. I thought Smile 2 was such a blast. I don't think you can remake Possession. To me, this is an untouchable. Like, I don't think you should remake this, but they're doing it anyway. And we're on to number two. Number 2 of the all-time greatest video nasties list. And I've had a very fun time here tonight with y'all. I appreciate y'all checking out the show. From the year 1980, I actually saw this in the theater this past Monday night. And man, it was special. It was so cool to see it in the theater with a big crowd, with the lead actor there, Carl York, from the late, great Ruggero Deodato. I'm talking about it here. I'm talking about it now. Talking about a movie that I would throw in the top 10 horror movies ever made. Not just top 10 video nasties, but top 10 horror movies. Cannibal Holocaust. Yes, Cannibal Holocaust from the year 1980. And yes, my friends, I have a brief plot synopsis. In 1979, 4 documentary filmmakers disappeared into the jungles of South America while shooting a film about cannibalism. 6 months later, their footage was found. Yes, Cannibal Holocaust. One of the all-time great horror movies, in my opinion. A top 10. Definitely in my top 10 favorite horror movies ever made. And for so many different reasons. Because this is a movie that has a reputation. This is a movie that ultimately is kind of judged over time because of its shocking nature, right? This is a movie that does not hold back any punch. There is animal cruelty in this movie. There are very gratuitous molestation scenes in this movie. There are over-the-top death scenes. There are, you name it, you throw it, you're going to see it in Cannibal Holocaust. And that's the movie that it's garnered its reputation of being. And it is disturbing, it is shocking, and it is totally well-deserving of being on the list of 72 video nasties because it may have and feature the most shocking stuff that you'll see on screen. And it's a great movie in portraying that. But I always say that the reason the Cannibal Holocaust stands out so much more than other movies like it, other movies that didn't want to pull back, right? Movies like Island of Death, right? That go over the top and let's offend you without a message. Whereas Cannibal Holocaust, I think what the beauty of it is its message, is its commentary on society, on journalism, right? What Ruggiero Deodato was going for, he was kind of poking fun at censorship. He was making fun of all of that. And what we have here is a story of 4 documentary filmmakers from the concrete jungle of New York City, of, my neck of the woods. And I always thought that was the creepiest thing about it, to have these people from the concrete jungle fly over to the Green Inferno, the real jungles of South America. And, their footage is found after they've gone lost. Robert Kerman and company go find their footage. And once they find it, the television companies, they want to air it as this big special. What happened to these filmmakers? Here's what they documented. And slowly but surely, we start to see the footage that they find, and we see what was going on with these particular tribes and with these particular filmmakers. And it is horrifying. It is horrific. It is unspeakable, right? We see them take apart a tortoise. They cut it up. They destroy it, cut its head off, rip its innards out. They skin muskrats. They go over to these tribes of the Yanomomos and they burn down their houses with them inside. They shoot their pigs, right, which is their dinner for the night, shoot them in the head. They have sex in the ashes of the houses that they've burned down, film everything, take their women, sexually assault them, and every single thing they can do in order to get the perfect shot, right? That's the whole point, right? Alan, the character Carl Gabriel York plays, Alan wants to get the perfect shot. He's a journalist that wants to, capture the perfect documentary film, to capture something that's horrific and that has to be seen, right? He wants to garner attention and views, somebody doing it for getting the popularity and getting fat and rich upon the fame. That's a big reason why he's doing it. And then once we see what he's done, right, you've degraded their society, you've burned down their homes, you've killed their dinner, you've had sex in the ashes, you've had sex with their women. You're deplorable. You're irredeemable. And what I think is the greatest scene in the history of horror movies is in this movie. It's in this movie where we see this shocking image on the cover, this woman on the pole who was about 14 or 15 years old, who obviously sat on this pole and then put this stick in her mouth, like almost like like she had to balance it. It was an amazing visual. And it was an amazing special effect as we watch the filmmakers run over to it, moving tight. And for 1 second, we see Carl York smiling, his smiling shit-eating grin, his smiling beneficence, looking at this, thinking, I'm getting the best shot. This is great content. And then, watch it, Alan, I'm shooting. They tell him. And then his overlooked concern goes to a look of, overly concerned, right? His look of happiness goes to a look of over concern, if I could speak properly. And he goes, oh, good Lord, I don't understand the meaning for such cruelty. It must be one of these specific, weird, profound things these primitives have for, virginity. And he's saying how horrible it all is. And then they're all picked off one by one. Right. And we see them all victimized and castrated and decapitated and tortured and all this stuff on the found footage format, which is, one of the first movies, if not the first movie to ever do that. And then that final line, I wonder who the real cannibals really are, where Robert Kerman's crossing the street and he says, I wonder who the real cannibals really are. It wasn't the primitives. It wasn't the people in the Green Inferno. It wasn't the cannibals that we oh so feared, that we walked on eggshells to avoid. No, it wasn't them. It was us from the concrete jungle. It was this preppy New York prep film student that wanted to get the perfect shot for his shitty documentary, right? And we see through the lives of these people. We see where they've come from, right? We see the Faye, Francesca's character. She comes from the religious background, right? How could somebody from religion go and fall into a life like this? How could this person fall into this? And the answer is that evil can really arise from any of us. Evil can come from anywhere. And when you're trying to capture it all in journalism, when you're trying to exploit, right, or overrate sensationalism, this is what happens. And Cannibal Holocaust is the perfect freaking movie for that. I again, a movie that I think a lot of people lose the message in. They just see it for the disturbing factor, and it is disturbing. But to me, the scariest thing in it, all the things I mentioned, the scariest thing in it is Carl York. There's no doubt that his character and his enjoyment, and the fact they have to take him out of the enjoyment of a woman being impaled on a pole, that to me is horror done right. That's why I love this thing, and that to me is what makes Cannibal Holocaust one of the all-time great horror movies. But I'm curious to see what y'all have to say in the chat. Let's see. Smile 2 was a very good sequel, very fun movie. I had a blast with Smile 2. Oh, there's the turtle. Okay, I couldn't see it. Love it. The granddaddy of cannibal movies. Yes, it is. It's the greatest. It's the Citizen Kane of cannibal films. Just watched Smile 2 yesterday. Welcome, Jack Doobie. The ultimate Deodato rules. Yes, and Deodato is another movie on this list. Doesn't make my top 10, but it is a video nasty, of course. The House on the Edge of the Park, starring David Hess. Great movie. Annie Bell was in that one too. You know, it's sad. A lot of the people from that movie have passed. Annie Bell is gone. Giovanni Radici, he's gone. I think he's in the most nasties. It's him and, funny enough, Ian McCullough are in the most video nasties. I think they were in 3 each, which is pretty funny. But yeah, CH, great all-timer. Yes, I like Edge of the Park a little bit more. A lot of people like House on the Edge of the Park more than, this movie, and even Last House on the Left. The original Blair Witch Project, okay. The musical score is Chef's Kiss. Riz Ortolani's score. Do, 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 do. Pause. Do, 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 do. So good. Like, again, a movie with such graphic, disturbing nature, yet the score is so beautiful. The score is so pure. It's the perfect counterbalance to what we're seeing, right? What you would think we'd get this hardcore metal score, right, to match the violence that you see on the screen. But no, Riz Ortolani knew, man. Riz Ortolani is one of the best ever. Like, the score for Duckling he does is tremendous, man. I just love Riz Ortolani. The guy was master. Absolutely, Michelle. Great movie, but very hard to get through. It actually is a great message, but this is not a fun movie to watch for me. Even Ferox tame by comparison. Ferox is really good too. I don't think Umberto Lenzi was as good as far as making cannibal pictures as Deodato was, but Lenzi is a damn good filmmaker in and of his own right. Is the first time or one of the first? Yeah, it's got to be. I always said it was the first, but then there's some obnoxious person that'll say, no, it wasn't. Giovanni Ribisi's Dancing House on the Edge of the Park should have won an Academy Award. Yes, do it to me. What's wrong? Do it to me. What's wrong? Also came out when we had Vietnam fresh in our minds. Sure. I couldn't imagine seeing this in the theater without, like, not knowing what I was walking into. I don't know, Grande. I think Eli Roth outdid Deodato with Green Inferno. Sure he did. Sure he did. So Deodato made the granddaddy of cannibal films, and Eli Roth made one of the worst cannibal films. Not as bad as Cannibal Terror, though. Oh, Phantom, I like that film a lot. It's a hot take. That is a hot take. I never recommended, never covered From the Turtle. Which is funny is Carl York on Monday. He showed up in a button-down T-shirt, and it had tortoises all on it, and I thought that was pretty funny. Just goading Grande. It's all right. That's all right. He's a huge, and I'm an Eli Roth truther. You know what's funny is it's like now everybody seemed to turn on him, and I'm like, motherfuckers, this guy has always sucked. Like, where were you all the past 20 years? Yo, Joe Mama's in the house. What's up, Joe Mama? It plays like a Mondo film, 9 out of 10 film. Sure. Always loved the great Sergio Leone's reaction to Cannibal Holocaust. Wrote a letter to Deodato after the screening. What a movie, but I think you're going to get in trouble. That's amazing. Yeah, and he did. He fucking had to go to court and prove that all these actors weren't actually dead, right? He had to go in court and prove that they hadn't passed away. So I always thought that was a crazy story that kind of added to the lore and the legend of this film. Shaky cam to guerrilla filmmaking. I actually like House on the Edge of the Park a lot more. I think House on the Edge of the Park is good, but I don't think it's better than this movie. And I don't think it's better than Last House. A lot of people say it's better than Last House on the Left, and I don't think that at all. Power, I think it's the best of Edge of the Park. I mean, it's best. It's Deodato's best, you're saying. The score to Cannibal Holocaust is one of the best, though, so beautifully disturbing and enigmatic at times. Sure, Ferox is brutal. Yes, it's make them die slowly. Although Gaspari's effects are so good in Cannibal Holocaust, incredible. Cannibal Holocaust is a pioneering movie. Not a fan of Deodato, but his found footage is ahead of its time. Yeah, it was. It really was ahead of its time. Ferox is awesome. It's the brutish, stupid, deformed little brother of Cannibal Holocaust. What about my good buddy Sergio Martino's Mountain of the Cannibal God with the pig fucking and Ursula Andress? Or even, I actually really like Man from Deep River. I think Man from Deep River is a great movie that I think Umberto Lenzi did Man from Deep River, that's I think a really good movie, but that's another nasty that doesn't make the number one slot. Instead, we talk about this movie. Instead, we talk about a movie that I would consider a top 5 horror movie ever made. It's in my top 5. I think it is number 5 of my top 5 horror movies ever made. And I'll tell you this, it rests on 13 acres of earth over the very center of hell. The Last House on the Left. Yes, The Last House on the Left coming in at number 1, my all-time favorite video nasty, and my number 5 favorite horror movie if you're keeping score at home. Brief plot synopsis. 2 teenage girls heading to a rock concert for one's birthday try to score marijuana in the city, where they are kidnapped and brutalized by a gang of psychopathic convicts. Yes, The Last House on the Left. Man, it's just one of the all-time great movies to me, and a movie that everything about it is legendary. And I could bring out this is the original cover. Well, a poster. I've got to get this poster one of these days. I've got to get this one sheet. I have they give you like a mini one, just like these on the back wall here. Like I have that one up, but I definitely got to get the original one sheet one of these days, because I just think this is one of the great horror movies ever made. And just everything, even from the marketing, just all of the taglines are great. Mary, 17, is dying. And even for her, the worst is yet to come. She lived in the last house on the left. And just keep repeating, it's only a movie, only a movie, only a movie. Like all the gimmicks they use to market this thing is great. And to me, what makes it an all-time horror movie is the fact that it really is a movie that transcended the genre in a lot of ways. Like, listen, the horror of the 1960s was a lot different than a movie like The Last House on the Left looks and takes the 1970s as a whole into moving forward. And who does it come from? It comes from a guy who had never watched a movie until he was like in his mid-teen years, in the late great Wes Craven. Wes Craven had a very strict religious upbringing, was not allowed to watch R-rated films, could only watch Disney movies, and to the point where he turned like 15 years old. And then obviously was working in New York City, met this guy, Sean Cunningham, who said, I can produce it, I can put up the money for it. We can advertise it as Sex Crime of the Century or Krug and Company, all these titles that didn't work until they came up with The Last House on the Left, which doesn't really fit them. It sounds like it would be a ghost movie, right? When you hear that title, it doesn't really fit exploitation, grindhouse, revenge picture, but that's exactly what it is, even though the title says differently. But it's the perfect title. It's a classic horror movie title that really, really works. And obviously it's telling the story of the horrors of growing up, right? Here's this woman who we follow, Sandra Peabody's character, in the opening scene. This is a girl who's turning 17. It's her 17th birthday. She's bright-eyed. She's bushy-tailed. She's excited for a night out on the town with her friend Phyllis. She's got alcohol. They're going to score some weed. They're going to go see Bloodlust and maybe meet a couple of guys, right? That's the ideology. It's the youth, right? It's becoming a woman. She's going to find her womanhood tonight. That's the whole thing. And obviously, they run into and ask the wrong person for marijuana. Can we score some grass from you? Sure, come on in. And they run into Krug and Company, played by David A. Hess, one of the great performances of all time. David Hess, probably the greatest male performance in a video nasty is David Hess in this movie, as he plays the evil, maliciously evil Krug. Fred Lincoln as Weasel, and Jeremy Rain, as I always say, is the porcelain doll of this movie. She looked like a human porcelain doll, just a scary bitch that was so sadistic and into seeing people piss themselves and degrade themselves. And that's how good she is. Jeremy Rain as Sadie. And then obviously Craig Scheffler as the younger brother, right? The younger brother of Krug. And I can't think of his fucking name in the movie now. I don't know. I just watched it on Monday too for some Weasel is Fred Lincoln. Who the fuck? What is his damn name? Junior. Jesus, that was easy enough. Junior is his name. Obviously you watch the four of them and they take these women out into the woods and brutally torture them, right? Piss your pants. And they make them have sex with one another, and they humiliate them. They degrade them. They kill Phyllis. And then they ultimately hold Mary down while David Hess carves his name into her chest and physically and sexually assaults her. And you get to me the best scene in the movie, where all of these people stand up at the same time. We have Krug, we have Jeremy Rain, we have Fred Lincoln. They're all standing up and they're picking the grass and the dirt and the blood out of their hands. And they're all kind of looking at each other. And we get that great song from David Hess, Now You're All Alone, right? Now you're all alone. The bass drop and feeling the world closing on you. So good and so impactful in that one scene, because To me, what's so brilliant about it and what that remake completely misses is the fact that in this moment, in this particular second in time, Mary, this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed girl looking to have a fun night out on a town, looking to find her womanhood, has it all taken away from her in that particular second. She goes down on her knees and now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And, she starts praying like I'm dead. It's right. It's the defeated walk that she has as she walks over into the pond. It's not, I'm going to run away with my arms up. I'm going to call for help. I'm going to beg. I'm going to plead. I'm going to try to get away, right? A lot of horror movies would make that mistake, right? That's what the instinct would be. No, now when it's all taken away, now when it's all over, the whole point of it is that she was defeated in the moment and she has to just walk off and basically almost like an old dog behind the shed or a horse that breaks its leg. She has to be put down, and David Hess mercifully shoots her in the pond as the music comes to a crescendo close. Just, to me, one of the most important and impactful scenes in horror movies that there's ever been. It just gives you chills as you see this girl give up on life, right? It starts with all the promise and then ends in the pond where she just gives up without even a whimper. And I think that's what's so sad and horrific about it. And that to me is what's so real about it. And then to put the cherry on top, they go over to the next house, the last house on the left. And whose house is it? That's Mary's parents' house. And they get their revenge from there. And that whole finale is great too. That, oh, you hit pretty good. You're almost as good as Sadie. I love that. I love this taunting of them. And Fred Lincoln get his dick bit off, and Jeremy Rain and the mom fighting. And I mean, it's just a masterpiece. And I want you to take the gun and I want you to put it in your mouth. No, put it in your mouth. Blow your brains out. He's yelling at his own to blow his head off. Like, holy cow, that is so freaking dark. And the kid listens to him, right? So good. And then that closing shot of the bumbling cops that run in. One of them, Martin Cove, sweep the leg. No, sensei. One of them is Martin Cove. They run in. And we see this banner, the birthday banner that is now, it was hanging up proud at the beginning. It's now slumped over. It's now covered in blood. We now see our two parents, and it finally hits them that their daughter is no longer there. We killed all these people. We got our revenge. We protected what was ours, but she's still gone. We're left with nothing. We're left with, sorrow. And that to me is the most tragic ending that you can have, of these people getting their revenge, but it's not even good enough because you lost the one thing that you loved and wanted to protect. And that to me is horror done right. It's a perfect movie. And I know, a lot of the actors dog this movie. I know Fred Lincoln said it was the worst movie he was ever in, despite the fact that every other movie he ever did was a pornography film. And Sandra Peabody, to this day, 50 fucking plus years later, will not talk about this movie, will not acknowledge that she did this movie. And she did some shitty movies. She was in some bad, I think Mask of Satan, something like that. Like, she's been in some bad pictures and never got a bigger role than this. And she refuses to this day to talk about this movie because of how surreal and real it must have felt, right? Everyone has always said that she was truly afraid of David Hess in real life, right? And yeah, I don't know, just the psychology, the sick, sadistic nature and evil, mean spirit that it has. It's just, it never gets old. The Last House on the Left is my number one video nasty of all time. It's just a masterpiece. But let's see what y'all have to say. A lot of comments for this one. Great choice. Thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, you got that edition. Nice. Love it. Yeah, it's a great edition. Love Last House. Remake is quite good too. 8 out of 10. I don't know. I've reviewed the remake a couple of times on here. I did one of the best Grande's Graveyards ever is I did Last House on the Left Knocks. And that's a fun episode because I talk about the good Last House Knocks. I talk about the bad Last House Knocks. And I really shit on the remake there. But I also shit on movies like Chaos, Golden Apples of the Sun. These are some of the worst Last House Knocks. And it's funny because everybody always with Last House, they mention, oh, well, it was a ripoff of the Ingmar Bergman, Virgin Springs. And yeah, there's no doubt. But at the same time, we've seen movies try to rip this off in that vein, right? Night Train Murders, another video nasty that doesn't have the impact of this. Yeah, it may be more competently made by a guy that knew what he was doing as opposed to Wes Craven and company. We're just basically, let's take a bunch of cameras into the woods. But at the same time, I think that helped this movie because it made it feel more raw. It made it feel more forbidden. It gave it that nasty feel and that impact that I think is missing from any other movie that has come since. It just never has been recaptured that same way. When I was a kid, I grew up in The Last House on the Left. Yes, we had the best Halloween parties. Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. I love to hear that. David Hess, enough said. Legendary flick. piss your pants. That's, oh my God, that always freaked me out. Like, I think of all those people, Sadie is the scariest because she just like fucking lunatic, man. Like she just like laughing at all of it and get like just, oh my God, dude. Jeremy Rain is amazing in this movie. I would love to meet Jeremy Rain. Like I would love, if she ever does a convention, I would go meet Jeremy Rain. This movie feels, and funny enough, she went on to marry Dick Dreyfuss. She wanted to marry Richard Dreyfuss. I think they're divorced, but yeah, no, she would go on to marry. Funny enough, her and Dick Dreyfuss got married. This movie feels like it has two different stories tied into a movie. The first half focused on Mary and Phyllis being lured and killed by the gang, and the second half focuses on the gang. Sure, yeah, it is a movie of two halves. It definitely, I know the music throws a lot of people off in the movie, right? There's a lot of knocks that this movie has, but I just don't, I can look past all of them because it's just such a good movie around that stuff. I do remember liking the remake. Seems like a lot of people prefer the remake too, which is to me, I guess, enough people bringing up the remake, I'm going to have to shoot it down. I'm sorry. I do not like the remake. The remake is a polished PG-13 version of this movie. And I understand that you can't show what's in this movie in the remake. I get that. I get you can't push the envelope that far. It was really a time and a place thing. Wes Craven and the genre itself needed to be pushed from one era to the next. And this is the movie that I think got the 1970s in horror and traction. And then you follows your last, your Texas Chainsaw Massacres and your Black Christmases and your Hills Have Eyes and your grindhouse drive-in exploitation type films that all feel like they were trying to sell themselves in a similar way to this, right? So many different movies tried to sell themselves with the keep repeating it's only a movie. Don't Look in the Basement, another video nasty. Use that tagline in its trailers. It's only a movie, only a movie. That's, something that was derivative of it. But to me, a big difference is you look at that remake and there's the scene where they sexually assault Mary, right? In the remake, she's an Olympic swimmer. She's fucking David Phelps after a fucking $2,000 calorie binge and a pot session. This bitch, after getting shot in the arm, swims the fucking 100-meter butterfly to get to the last house on the left. Her dad is a dentist, but fucking miraculously saves her with a Windex bottle. They brutally kill these people. Mary lives. Junior's going to get to go to rehab. Yay! Oh, and we'll throw a tacked on scene where we put the lead heel's head in a microwave and blow him up. Wow. Fuck that. It completely misses the fucking point of the horror that is in the original movie. It just doesn't fucking work. Like, to me, the whole point of her running away, swimming away, that ruins it. Like, it's like that the whole horror in it was that she gave up. Like, there is horror in that, giving up on your life, right? Just a few hours ago, it's my birthday, we're gonna have a great time. To the ultimate other extreme of, now I want to die. Now I'm all alone. Now I'm done with this. Put me out of my misery, Krug, because I can't go on now for another second. Like, that to me is the horror, whereas the remake just misses that completely. But I get it. I know people like it, and that's fine, but I don't think it's a good remake at all. I don't. Like, it's, if you like polished Hollywood horror remakes, it's a good movie. But other than that, And the fucking guy who played Krug sucked. I don't think he was happy. And the lady who played Jeremy Rain, the lady who played Sadie sucked too. Oh my God, that lady sucked. Riki Lindholm, whatever the fuck her name is. Oh my God, you stink. Jeremy Rain, kick your fucking ass with her pinky. The bumbling cops always annoyed me, but amazing flicks, so influential. See, that never bothered me. It was, they didn't get there in time. Like, it never really ruined the movie for me. But I know some people, they were like, oh, it's a 5 out of 10, those cops. I'm like, that's a crazy, to take half of a fucking rating off for that. Yeah, you take the bumbling cops from it, it's a 9 out of 10. Okay, I agree. I'm sorry, A Nightmare on Elm Street can be seen as a sequel because Freddy is getting his revenge against the members of the lynch mob that executed him. That's a stretch. I mean, obviously, Freddy Krueger got from the name of Krug, so there is that tie. Grande, you sick bastard. No, that's a classic. Great flick. I do prefer the remake, though. Wow, does everybody prefer the fucking remake? Why? I don't. Okay, for everyone that prefers the fucking remake, tell me why. I gotta know, because I just don't see it at all. Craven's best, Last House, Hills of Eyes, Nightmare on Elm Street. I would agree those are his 3 best movies, but I'd put Elm Street at 1. I'd put Last House at 2, and I'd put Hills at 3, and then I'd put Scream at 4. He made 4 perfect horror movies in his life. Those are 4 perfect movies. Like, and each one of them, which is so crazy, is Last House and Hills was the 70s, Elm Street was the 80s, and then Scream was the 90s. Like, 3 different decades, he sort of influenced and moved the genre along for the better. Like that's how good Wes Craven was, man. Hess is great in this, but he's better at Edge of the Park. That's his best in my opinion. I love him in Edge of the Park. He's definitely more front and center, and he has more dialogue. Like he's really the lead of Edge of the Park, whereas here he's the lead antagonist. He's so fun in that. Like I love where he cries at the end after Giovanni Labanadici. He gets killed, and he goes, I'm sorry. Like he starts crying. I'm so sorry. I tried to be a good friend. I tried to protect you, right? And these fools would know a straight game if they followed one home. And Cindy, oh Cindy, he's great, man. David Hess is great. I love him in Hitchhike as well. Cut and Run, Body Count, the Swamp Thing. I love David Hess. For me, this is Wes Craven's best directed movie. It's a great movie. I would say Elm Street's his best movie, but this is number 2 for sure. I would love to see David Hess play a lighthearted role as a sitcom dad or something. Somehow I feel it would have worked. That would have been awesome if he did. You know, this is a guy that I love the Hillbilly song. He wrote music for Elvis Presley. Like he was a really talented guy, man. That's another guy I wish I could have met at a con before he had passed. Wes is not my favorite horror director. He put comedy in a lot of his horror, but he saw that the wind was changing in the industry. I think if you want a word, like one word to define Wes Craven, it's genius. Like Wes Craven was a fucking genius. And even his movies that don't get enough, like I love People Under the Stairs. I think The People Under the Stairs is a really good movie. I think Shocker is as fun as dumb 80s cheese gets. I love Shocker. It's such a fun, dumb movie. You got it, baby. Like that, it's just fucking so fun, man. I really like the Italian ripoffs, Last House 2, in the typical Italian fashion. They up the nastiness. Night Train Murders, Terror Express, Last House on the Beach, fucking awesome. I reviewed Night Train Murders and Last House on the Beach on the Last House Knocks episode. So I've reviewed a lot of the Italian knockoff of the Last House. But yes, it's like the Night Train Murders, fuck it, we'll do it on a train. And then Aldo Lotto, I've never seen Last House on the Left, but you're full of shit. Last House on the Beach is fucking hysterical though. Florinda Balkan, and I think Ray Lovelock is in that too. So hell yeah, Phantom, Night Train is great. I know. We did a stream with Dead Pit, Dirk, and Darren, and Gizmo, I think, and Steve. Steve was on there. That's how long ago it was. Holy shit! It was Last House versus Night Train Murders. It was me, CK from Dead Pit, and Steve versus Dirk, Darren, and Gizmo. Like they were for Night Train Murders, and then me, Steve, and CK were for Last House. And it was like a fun 6-man tag match of a debate. That was a fun stream we did. Family Matters in Full House starring David Hess. Imagine the fucking Joey Gladstone. What if it was David Hess? Cut it out. And then he just starts cutting you for real. Like exactly, Jeff, in my opinion. The Parents' Revenge is the best part of the movie, in my opinion. She's dead on the couch. Nice list, man. Fulci's classic are my personal favorite. Dude, that is the elephant in this room. There wasn't a Fulci movie on this list. I swear to you, when I first made the list, House by the Cemetery was number 10. I had Fulci on the list. And as I thought about it throughout the week, Don't Go in the House just surpassed it. I was like, you know what? I think I have to go with Don't Go in the House. But I love Zombie. The Beyond is very good. House by the Cemetery of those 3 is my favorite, and it was the closest to making this list. But yeah, most people's top 10 nasties, The Beyond's going to be on there. Like that's the most beloved Fulci movie. Like that is forever his most beloved movie. It's not my favorite Fulci movie, not even close to be honest, but it's a really good movie too. I Drink Your Blood was not on your list, Grande. I love that film. Not a nasty, not a video nasty, my friend. That I don't even know if that's a section 3 nasty. I know it's a section. No, I don't think it was a nasty whatsoever, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's for a fact it's not section 1 or 2. It might have been section 3, but I'm not sure. I'd have to look. It's like how they said the woman who played the mom during the home invasion scene from Henry retired from acting and that's to me the scariest scene in fucking Henry. When they snap her son's neck in front of her, holy shit. That, like, to this day, scared the shit out of me. Wondering how much better you think Let Sleeping Corpses Lie than Fulci's Zombie. You're going to get me in trouble, Mr. Dynamic ICO027. I still want to call you Labyrinth. I'm so sorry. It's like my brain is like, call him Labyrinth. No. Yeah, I think it's a lot better, personally. Like, don't get me wrong. Fulci's, and here's the difference between those two movies. Fulci's Zombie has enough fucking fans. Like, Let's Sleeping Corpses Lie is a completely different animal. It's just a completely different movie to me. And, like, I love the atmosphere of it. I love the vibe. I love the intensity. I love the feel. That's the reason I lean towards Let's Sleep in Corpses Lie more. Whereas Zombie, it's more for shocking moments, right? The eyeball into the wooden spike, the zombie fighting the shark, the zombies walking across the bridge at the end, right? The great score from Fabio. Like that, it's a great movie too. I love Zombie too, but like I just like Let's Sleep in Corpses Lie better. It's more of my cup of tea, but I don't deny that Fulci Zombie is one of the best zombie movies ever made. It just, I like and prefer Let's Sleep in Corpses Lie. But I still think they're both great movies. Grande, I started tuning in at number 5. Where does Let's Sleep in Corpses Lie fall in the top 10? Number 6. Number 6, buddy. It's number 6 in Let's Sleep in Corpses Lie. Where is it? It's over here. Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. I still can't. I should have got the fucking like the limited edition of that. I should have not have got the standard. Don't Look in the Basement is great. I have a good time with Don't Look in the Basement. The first time I saw it, I was like, "Doof, this is rough." And then I've watched it a few times since. It's like it grows on you, man. It grows on you. Is Michael Phelps' second cousin? Is that his name? Did I say David Phelps? I meant Michael Phelps' ass. That's what I meant. David Phelps. I think there's a pitcher on the Mets that was named David Phelps. So go figure. I prefer the original 100%. I like the remake, but it's overrated as fuck. Okay. Never said I preferred the remake, just that I liked it. But I haven't seen either version in many years. Okay, fair enough. Really like New Nightmare 2. Love People Under the Stairs. Me too. I think People Under the Stairs is great. In A Nightmare on Elm Street also uses the Lord's Prayer, which he also said, well, hold on, Slasher Fred. Hold the fuck on. If we're going to start saying about the prayers that Wes Craven used, what about the actual movie he directed called My Soul to Take? And yes, my friends, it is one of the worst Wes Craven movies of all time. That is one of my favorite so bad movies. It's not so bad it's good. It's just so bad that it's actually astonishing that Wes Craven made it. I did review that on an episode called When Good Directors Go Bad, and that's the Wes Craven movie I focused on, My Soul to Take, aka My Soul to Take a Shit on Your fucking head. Serpent and the Rainbow, and I love Deadly Friends. Serpent and the Rainbow is good. I'm not as high on it as most people, but it is a good movie. Let's see. Oh, I skipped too far in the comments. Let's see. I won't say remake is better, but more satisfying. Girl survives. Parents get their yay. Winner, chicken dinner. Okay, yeah, it's more it's more fucking safe, basically. New York Ripper, Anthropophagus, and Absurd. Those are New York Ripper's not a nasty, but Anthropophagus and Absurd are. Some underrated nasties for me, Dead and Buried and Trauma. Dude, Dead and Buried is a top 15. Like, I love Dead and Buried. That's a great movie. Jack Albertson, R.I.P., Grandpa Joe. Love Dead and Buried. Trauma is also, I believe, goes under the title of House on Straw Hill with Udo Kier. And funny enough, that's the only British movie on a British list. That's the only movie they banned from their own country. Of all 72, only one was actually made in the UK, and it was Trauma, aka The House on Straw Hill. And it's, I don't know, not one of my faves. I like Flesh for Frankenstein with Udo Kier. To know that, Otto, you have to fuck life in the gallbladder. One of the great lines in cinema's history. I love that. I love that fucking movie. Holy shit, man. That's a funny one. I have the 4K 3D version of that. It's a lot of fun. My Soul to Take a Shit, right? Holy shit. You know, they had Long Island Horror Con, which isn't far, and they had one of the actresses from it. And I was like, holy shit, how funny would that be if I walked up to her and got this sign and was like, this is one of my favorite films. Like, it would be so funny if I just walked up to her and told her, like, it changed my life and shit. Like, oh my God, how funny that would have been. Dude, it is one of the funniest fucking movies ever made. The lead character, Bug, and the blind kid that climbed the side of the house, and oh my God, the condor. Oh shit. That's one of the greatest bad movies ever made since the pandemic, probably. I'd rather give my whole to take them to have rewatch My Soul to take. Okay, you'd rather give your soul to have rewatch My Soul to take. Great show, Grande. Always love some video nasty talk. I think at least half of our top list is the same. Yeah, no, we had a lot in common. There's a few people like 70s Horror Man. I don't think he's ever watched, but he was like, do you like Don't Go in the House and Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue? I was like, you're going to really want to watch the show if you're asking me about those. House on Straw Hill, very good. That's the top 10 nasties list to recap. Last House on the Left at number 1. We had, what do we got here? Last House at number 1. Cannibal Holocaust, number 2. We had Possession at number 3. We had The Evil Dead at number 4. We had Cannibal Man at number 5. Very unpopular pick, but that was number 5. Living Dead at Manchester Morgue at number 6. We had Tenebrae, number 7. We had Bay of Blood, number 8. Number 9, The Gestapo's Last Orgy. And number 10, Don't Go in the House. So, yeah, a lot of fun here tonight on Grande's Graveyard. I thank you all for watching. The chat was booming for the whole show, so I thank you all. And I hope the new microphone sounded good. Again, we're testing this bad boy out. I really hope it sounds better than last week. Truly amazing top 10 as always. Only. Thank you, Miss C. Thank you for sharing your top 10. Great shit list. Grande. Only. Okay, thank you, brother. Great show from what I got to see. Michelle, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you so much. Again, if you're catching the replay, comment down below. Let me know what your top 10 video nasties are. Share them with me. Maybe some of your, maybe in a sequel to this, we'll do the top 10 worst. That would be an entertaining show, but I probably would have to get psychiatric help like Isabella Johnny if I did that. So I don't know if we're going to go down that road, but this was fun to change it up from just the solo reviews and stuff. Great show, Grande. Thank you so much, Mark. I have to do it. Labyrinth, UFC breakdown. Dude, so good to see you back, man. I hope all is well with you and everything. But everybody, thank you so much. As far as next week goes, it's up in the air right now. But if I do, I'll let you know as soon as I know. And I thank you all kindly. Thank you so much. Have a safe, happy, healthy weekend. Keep things nasty. And we will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. Too sweet, peace. Good night, everybody. Cheers.